Chapter 126. Sima Yuyu watched Feng Zhixing leave and stared at the portal as it slowly closed. She knew that if she had followed him, she would have been able to enter the world on the other side. She also knew that she would be able to find out why she had been sent to this place, however. She did not move because she knew in her heart, and she would definitely die if she went over there with her current level of power, with both hands clenched tight. She swore in her heart that she would definitely go to the primordial lands one day and uncover all the truth to all the secrets that Feng Zhixing did not say with her own hands. As the night wind blew, she stood at the peak of the mountain as she let the wind tousle her hair as it liked. After remaining on the peak of the mountain for quite a while, she waited for her heart to settle down before she returned back to the dorm. Fatty Chu just happened to come out from his room. When he saw her, he asked, "Yuyu, what did Master Feng call you for? You came back so late." Sima Yuyu looked at Fatty Chu, shook her head and directly entered her house. "What's up with this fellow? She looks so despondent." Fatty Chu stared puzzledly at Sima Yuyu's room. On the second day, when the students in Class A went to class, it was supposed to be Feng Zhixing's class, but it was another senior teacher who walked in. Feng Zhixing has left the academy because a few things have come up. From today onwards, I will be your teacher. I am Ling Ping. If you have any questions, come and ask me after class. We have 1 minute to casually discuss about this piece of news, and we'll begin class after that. After Ling Ping finished speaking, he bent his head down to open his book. The entire class erupted into chaos. Aside from Sima Yuyu, the others had been caught extremely off guard by this piece of news. Ouyang Fei and the other 4 looked at Sima Yuyu. Seeing that she was not downcast nor lying listlessly on the table, she had a face completely devoid of shock, and they knew that she had definitely known of this beforehand. "Was it yesterday that you went to say goodbye to Feng Zhixing?" Bei Gongtang asked him. A master said that something happened back home, so he left. Sima Yu sat up as she said, Bei Gongtang and the others knew about Sima Yu acknowledging Feng Zhixing as her master, so they guessed that he had called her over to say goodbye. Since he left because he had something to settle, "There will be a day you will meet again," Bei Gongtang said after pondering for a while. Sima Yuyu was quite surprised as she turned around to face Bei Gongtang. This was the first time that she had taken the initiative to comfort someone. "I know it as well," Sima Yuyu said. "It's just that it was too sudden and I need some time to digest the information. Thank you." "I will be fine," Sima Yuyu said as she patted her own face as she forced out a smile. A minute passed as Ling Ping raised his head and said, "We will begin today's class after class." Sima Yuyu and the others walked back to their dorm. "Yuyu, do you know why Teacher Feng left?" Fatty Chu asked as she walked beside her. Sima Yu thought about how Feng Zhixing had told her that the situation involved the Sage Pavilion. However, because this was something too serious, she shook her head and said, "He didn't say anything about it. He only said that some issue arose in his clan and they asked him to return. Then will he be back?" Wei Ziqi asked. "I doubt it," Sima Yu said. "However, Master said that if I went to the primordial lands in the future, I could look for him there." When she heard about the primordial lands, Bei Gongtang's body stiffened. Although it was not obvious, it did not escape the notice of Sima Yuyu and the others. Primordial lands? Fatty Chu looked at Sima Yuyu. "Aren't we on the Yilin continent? Could it be that Teacher Feng is not someone from here?" "He's not," Sima Yu said. "Over here, we're on the Yilin continent. The primordial lands is on a level above ours. It's said that the environment on that continent is much better than ours and their ranks are also much higher. Master cautioned me that I was not to go to the primordial lands until I've reached divine rank." Divine rank? Fatty Chu and Wei Ziqi were surprised as their eyes widened to large circles. Ranks above spirit paragons are divine ranks. "When I reach divine rank, I will be able to head to the primordial lands," Sima Yu said. "However, nobody here has managed to reach the level of spirit paragon, much less a divine rank." Fatty Chu said, "No, it's not that the Yilin continent has no spirit paragons, it's just that they are no longer here." Ouyang Fei said. "Ouyang, how do you know?" Wei Ziqi asked. "Because I've met one." Ouyang Fei said. "You've met one? How come I've never heard that the Dongqin kingdom had a spirit paragon?" Fatty Chu scratched the back of his head. Ouyang Fei said that it was the Yilin continent, not the Dongqin kingdom. Sima Yu said, "Dongqin kingdom is merely a barren piece of land in the Yilin continent. It's a place that holds those who are exiled." "What?" Fatty Chu and Wei Ziqi were shocked. This attracted the gazes of all those around them. Sima Yu saw how shocked Fatty Chu and Wei Ziqi were and looked at the people around them. She said, "Let's continue this conversation back at the dorm." When they returned to the dorm, everyone habitually gathered in Sima Yu's house. Fatty Chu didn't wait for Sima Yu to start talking before he asked, "Yu, when you said that this place was a holding ground for the exiled, what did you mean?" Sima Yu glanced at Ouyang Fei and said, "I'm afraid that it will be clearer to let Ouyang Fei explain it instead. Am I right, Ouyang?" "Ouyang?" Fatty Chu and Wei Ziqi looked at him, "You know?" Ouyang Fei coolly glanced at Sima Yu as his face flashed with an unnatural expression. He said, "The Yilin continent has 5 kingdoms and 4 powers: West Kingdom, South Kingdom, North Kingdom, and Central Kingdom. It has one place of exile. Dongqing Kingdom, the East Kingdom. Like what Sima Yu said, this is the place that holds the exiled people from the 4 powers." "Ouyang, how do you know this?" Wei Ziqi asked. "Because I came here from the outside," Ouyang Fei said. "I am someone from the South Kingdom. Because of a certain reason, I had no choice but to come here. I always thought that this entire world was merely the size of Dongqing Kingdom. I never thought that this would merely be the tip of the iceberg and merely a little piece of land on the entire Yilin continent." Fatty Chu said, "Most of the clans here are those that have come in from outside or those that escaped here on their own." Sima Yu said, "It's unknown whether or not there will be a Chu clan, a Wei clan, and, of course, a Sima clan. Dongqing Kingdom has infertile land and is deficient in resources. Our cultivation speeds are low. Furthermore, because of certain reasons, the spiritual qi is thinner than outside." Ouyang Fei said, "If this is really the case, why don't people go out?" Wei Ziqi could not understand. "Because there's a natural protective barrier here. It's like a cover that masks all those who are spirit emperors and below have no way to break through the barrier. However, after all these years, how many spirit overlords has Dongqing Kingdom produced? As time goes by, this news is also slowly forgotten." Ouyang Fei said, "Also because of this protective barrier, the spiritual qi is thinner. Spirit fruits and spirit stones are also rarely found. Could it be that apart from being a spirit paragon, there's no way to leave this place?" Fatty Chu said, "I believe that there is a way. However, even if there is a way, without being strong enough, we won't be able to leave." Ouyang Fei said, "Why?" Chapter 127. Because there's a protective layer above the Sophia mountain range, there are many divine ranked beasts, so even if you were a spirit paragon, once you went out, you would have to face hundreds of divine ranked beasts. One careless mistake and you would lose your life." Ouyang Fei said, "Hundreds of spirit beasts." Fatty Chu heard himself suck in a breath. That Sophia mountain range was really so perilous? Pu Luo mountain range had just one saint-ranked full ape, but that Sophia mountain range actually had hundreds of saint-ranked beasts. It was no wonder that everyone was extremely surprised. "There's a natural protective barrier and there are even saint-ranked beasts outside. No wonder there's no one who goes out." Everyone finally understood. "You, how did you know that Ouyang Fei would be the most clear about this?" Bei Gong Tang asked. "I merely guessed so." Sima Yu said, "You're really the smartest. You're always able to guess it." Fatty Chu said, "Ouyang, when did you come to the capital?" Wei Ziqi asked. Ouyang Fei thought about it for a moment, saying, "It was 2 months prior to the time the academy was recruiting students." Seeing him act this way, everyone knew that he had some difficulty answering and no longer asked him for answers. "It's fine if we didn't know it in the past, but now that we do know, we definitely have to go to the outside world in the future to take a look." Wei Ziqi clenched his hand into a fist as his face had an obvious yearning for the unknown world. "Before that, it's better for everyone to cultivate properly and increase their own strength," Bei Gong Tang said. "If there's nothing else, they'll be heading back to my room. We will be returning as well," Fatty Chu said. "I won't skive anymore. I will cultivate whenever I get the opportunity. I don't believe that I will be locked in here forever." Wei Ziqi stood up as well, saying, "I'm heading back too." The 3 of them left, leaving behind Ouyang Fei and Sima Yu. "How did you know I wasn't someone from the Dongqing Kingdom?" Ouyang Fei looked at Sima Yu and asked. "I said it before, I guessed it." Sima Yu shrugged. "Also, it was a feeling, Ouyang. No matter what you've experienced, at the very least, we're here now. If you feel like telling us about all those things that you experienced, then go ahead. If you're unwilling, nobody will drift away from you or blame you. I know. But it's better for you all not to know about these things." Ouyang Fei stood up. "I'm going back." Sima Yu watched Ouyang Fei leave as she sighed deeply in her heart. It looked like he and Bei Gong Tang were people who kept a lot of secrets in their heart. Added on to that, her own identity. It looked like Wei Ziqi and Fatty Chu were the only ones in her group who grew up in relatively less complicated environments. Sima Yu let out a long breath as she closed the door, and in a flash, she appeared within the spirit pearl. Mosha was just waiting for her. When he saw her, he said, "We won't be refining pills today, why?" Sima Yu was stunned for a moment before asking, "Your current state is not good, and it will affect your refinement. Well, continue in 2 days when your mood has stabilized." Mosha said coolly. Sima Yu thought about her current state and how, if she was unable to participate in the pill refinement wholeheartedly, she would only negatively impact the success rate as a result. She nodded her head, saying, "Okay, besides that, I finished refining the spirit stone." As Mosha spoke, a single devil's snare flower bracelet appeared in front of the two of them. "This is?" Sima Yu stretched forth a hand to touch the bracelet a little. It was as if the bracelet was sentient and wore itself around her wrist. It highlighted her fair wrist and looked exceptionally alluring. "This is a bracelet that I refined using the spirit stone as well as some ingredients from the spirit pearl. It can be used to contain a spirit," Mosha said. "Aren't you perfectly fine inside the spirit pearl?" Sima Yu said, "Although I can still see whatever is happening outside from inside the spirit pearl, I am unable to feel for the other half of my soul." Mosha said, "By wearing this on your wrist, I will be able to get a reaction from a certain distance. If the day comes where you meet the other half of my soul, or if he isn't too far away, I will be able to feel it. So this is the case." Sima Yu lifted her hand and looked at the chain bracelet on her wrist, asking, "Since this will be able to contain your soul, what about the soul of others?" Mosha shot her a glance, saying, "Do you think that I will let others share a space with me?" The meaning behind his words was very clear. It was possible, but he was unwilling to do so. If she were to really allow another spirit to enter, it was really possible that he would be exterminated even before taking a good look at what the inside looked like. "Since I have this in the future, I will also be able to absorb the gas emitted by the golden snake fruit even from inside." After Mosha finished speaking, he disappeared into a puff of black smoke and squeezed his whole self into the chain bracelet. Sima Yu touched the bracelet and she appreciated it while saying, "Not sure how this guy actually refined this. Its appearance is really not bad. It definitely is not your average spirit accessory. Who knows, it could possibly be some holy or divine ranked accessory. It's so pretty. I'm just going to call it the Devil Snare Bracelet from now on." Since Mosha said he wasn't going to refine pills, she went to the cultivation room to cultivate and slowly recovered to her original frame of mind. After 2 days passed, Mosha said that they could begin refining pills. Sima Yu brought the bracelet with her as she entered the spirit pearl. After resting for 2 days, Sima Yu's frame of mind had already recovered to its peak and satisfied Mosha's requirement. When they came to the refinement room, Little Spirit prepared everything they needed as if it was a habit. The two of them checked it out a bit before directly beginning the refinement process. Having the experience of the previous time, the refinement process was even smoother than before. Sima Yu was even more familiar with the amount of spirit qi needed to refine the 100 Revolutions pill, so although it did take a toll on the spiritual qi in her body, she was not as tired as the previous time. It's done. Mosha retrieved his flame and looked at Sima Yu, who was exhausted once again. He said, "Although it always depletes the spiritual qi in your body, this is actually beneficial too. The spiritual qi that you pour in the next time will be even more concentrated, and it is only in this way that your strength will increase and you won't get drained so easily." "I understand." Sima Yu sat on the ground and said with a pale face. Mosha flashed and entered the Devil Snare Bracelet as Sima Yu took out a pill and ate it. Her body recovered a bit of strength and she crawled back up, coming beside the pill furnace as she prepared to keep the pills. The pills entered the jade bottle one by one, and she was stunned at the final moment. She poured the entire contents of the pill out onto her hands to count it again and was certain that she did not count wrongly. "Mosha, didn't you say that the maximum number of pills per batch would be 10? How come there are 11 pills this time?" Mosha's languid voice sounded from the Devil Snare Bracelet. He said, "When I was in my physical body, a single batch would minimally produce 12 pieces. 10 pills was merely a conservative estimate since I'm in spirit form." Sima Yu took out the pills as she looked at them happily. "Adding on the pills we refined the previous time, we have 12 pieces. That time I only needed 18 pills and now I have an extra 3. Once I recover my spiritual qi, I'll go and give it to Grandfather and the others so they can take it earlier. She placed all the 100 revolutions pill into her interspatial ring before sitting cross-legged on the floor. She began to absorb the spiritual chi from the space around her at this moment. A group of people crossed over the Sophia mountain range, entered the Dongchen kingdom and headed straight for the imperial capital. If Sima Lai was around, he would definitely recognize that one of them was the one who had injured him that day. Chapter 128. Third brother. Are you sure that that's the waste that was chased out of the Sima clan? The sharp-tongued and ugly Sima Ku asked. Sima Kai touched his arm as his eyes clouded over. That area had been deeply wounded by Sima Lai not long ago, although we had not met for over 100 years. There's no way I would have made a mistake, Sima Kai said. It is definitely our clan's raging inferno blow that is capable of injuring Sima Lin, who was accompanying them, knitted his eyebrows, saying, Third younger bro is already a second-ranked spirit paragon. Since Sima Lai was able to injure you, could it be that his strength is even higher than yours? If he had not secretly learned the raging inferno blow, how would that Sima Lai be able to injure me? Sima Kai said, That's right, people who have been banished from our clan should not be able to learn our raging inferno blow. Since that Sima Lai actually dared to learn it, once we capture him back, we definitely have to turn him into a waste. Sima Ka said it through clenched teeth. Even he had not fully mastered the raging inferno blow, but Sima Lai had actually learned it and was able to use it to injure Sima Kai. He must have been able to grasp its essence once he thought about it. He clenched his teeth so hard that it hurt. No matter what he used, an injury is an injury. Sima Kai said, however, there's no need to capture him back either. He has been injured by my spirit pet and definitely would not have been able to live past 2 days. We just have to capture those little children, that's all. Another lady who looked middle-aged gave a cold snort, saying, Has it not already been revealed what actually happened that year? Fourth uncle tried to escape no matter what. They wanted to escape from punishment, but they were still forced in the end. Without seeing them in person, we can't know for sure. Seventh little sister, what do you mean by that? Sima Ka heard that Sima Chin was speaking on behalf of Sima Lai and his face darkened as he chided, Whatever I said just now is what I meant. Sima Chin was not about to back down as she glared at Sima Ku. All right, enough, stop fighting. Don't forget the mission that we are focusing on this time, Sima Lin said. Third younger bro, are you certain that this place has a golden snake fruit? Eldest bro, at that time I was also excited for a moment, and it was only then that I thought of coming to this land of exile for a stroll. I never thought that I would happen to encounter the ripening of the golden snake fruit. It's just a pity that I was one step too late, and when I arrived, the golden snake fruit was already gone. However, I am certain that it was definitely the golden snake fruit, Sima Kai said definitively, eldest uncle with the golden snake fruit. Will our great-grandfather and the others recover? Sima Yulan asked. Out of the entire group of people, she was the only one of a later generation. It was because she had a unique attribute that Sima Lin and the others would bring her across this dangerous Sophia mountain range. That's not a given. Sima Lin said, It's just that the alchemist had said before that with the golden snake fruit, your great-grandfather and the others might possibly wake up. Father and the others have already been mentally decapitated for so many years. If the golden snake fruit is really able to heal them, our risk in crossing over this Sophia mountain range would not have been taken in vain. Sima Ching sighed. The amount of time we have for this journey is tight. We have to quickly look for the golden snake fruit as well as bring back fourth uncle and the entire clan back with us, Sima Lin said. We are also unsure of who the golden snake fruit has landed up with, Sima Ka said, although this land of exile isn't that big. It isn't small either, it's uncertain. How long we have to take to look for it, it shouldn't be the case, Sima Kai said. The activity that took place when the golden snake fruit was so big that it definitely would have attracted many people over. Who it finally ended up with shouldn't be much of a secret. When the time comes, we just have to go to the city and listen around for a bit and should be able to figure it out. How long more before we are finally able to enter the city? Sima Ching asked. Half a day. When night came, the group finally arrived at the city gates. Because the sky had darkened, everyone looked for an inn to rest in. When morning of the second day came, Sima Ku looked for the innkeeper to settle the cost of the rooms before taking out a few gold coins. He placed it in front of the innkeeper and said, Innkeeper, do you happen to know someone called Sima Lai? Who in this capital doesn't know of Sima Lai? The innkeeper smiled happily as he kept the golden coins. He said, That's actually the general of our Dongchen kingdom. Don't tell me that you all had remained in the mountains to cultivate without caring for the things outside? General? Then where does he live? The innkeeper was thoroughly convinced that these people had hidden themselves away their whole lives in cultivation. He had no idea what they were looking for Sima Lai for, but for the sake of the few golden coins, he still said, "The Sima home is in the imperial capital and is quite far from here. Guests, may I know for what reason you are looking for them?" Sima Cook glared at the innkeeper, and the innkeeper immediately beamed at him while saying he wouldn't ask anymore. "Then do you know who currently possesses the golden snake fruit?" "Golden snake fruit? I have no information about this," the innkeeper said. Hearing what he said, the faces of Sima Lai and the others darkened. The innkeeper saw that they were unhappy, so he immediately explained, "Dear guests, I really don't know. It's not just me. Even if you ask others, they wouldn't know either. Why is that?" At that time, the number of people who had gone to snatch for the golden snake fruit would have been numerous. How could it be that nobody knows who finally obtained the golden snake fruit? Sima Kai asked guests, "You are unclear of it, but I have heard from others that at the time, when everyone was snatching for the golden snake fruit, there were countless men and beasts. However, at the end, it was stolen by an unknown person." The innkeeper said, "An unknown person?" "That's right," the innkeeper said. "At that time, it was a bloody battle on the Puluo mountain range, and the battleground was complete chaos. I heard that anybody who had strength was there. Even General Sima had gone. He is considered to be the most powerful person in our Dongchen kingdom. However, he was still unable to obtain the golden snake fruit." "Didn't you say that he was the most powerful person? How come he was unable to obtain it? Could it be that it was stolen by a spirit beast?" Sima Qing asked. "It wasn't just when General Sima was fighting with that divine beast and was unable to break away. A person who came from some unknown place ran over and uprooted the entire golden snake fruit tree," the innkeeper said. "That person's entire body was wrapped in a cloak, and they say that the person's power was higher than the general's by a huge margin. They say that he had already reached the level of spirit paragon. We also don't know which mountain that old devil must have come from." Sima Lin and Sima Qing exchanged a glance. The confusion in their eyes was clear. Did this Dongchan kingdom possess an expert like a spirit paragon? Could it be that it was someone from our side? "The golden snake fruit is no longer in the Dongchun kingdom?" Sima Ku said. Sima Lin and the others looked towards Sima Yulan, and she shook her head. She said definitively, "It's not. I can feel it. This golden snake fruit is still here. It's in the Dongchan kingdom. Since we don't know whose hands it's currently in, it will be troublesome to look for it," Sima Qing said worriedly. "Will we be able to find it in 5 days?" Sima Lin and the others were also thinking about it. They had originally thought that it would be a relatively simple task, but because they had no idea of the identity of the person, it became an arduous task. "Yulan, you were always very sensitive towards treasures. Are you able to feel where it is?" Sima Lin asked. Sima Yulan closed her eyes and tried for a bit, saying, "I can't. I can only feel for its general direction. It's over there." Sima Yulan pointed to a place, and the innkeeper said, "That's the direction to the imperial capital." Sima Lin looked over at the innkeeper, saying, "Then we will first head to the imperial capital to look for those people left in the Sima clan." At this moment, Sima Lai, who had just walked out the house doors, had a weird feeling and lifted his head to look towards the direction of the Sophia mountain range. Chapter 129. After busying outside for a day, Sima Lai only returned at night, and the uneasy feeling he had in his heart had increased in intensity. "Steward, where are the young masters?" The steward from outside, saying, "General, eldest young master and second young master have gone to patrol the Lin city. Third young master is at home, while fourth and fifth young master are at the academy. Go and get them all to return," Sima Lai said. The steward looked at Sima Lai with a look of confusion. Wasn't it that nothing out of the ordinary had happened today? Why would he suddenly want to call them to return? "General, do you want it done now?" Go right now. Let eldest young master and second young master rush back through the night," Sima Lai said. Seeing how grave Sima Lai was behaving, the stewards knew that something big had happened. He said, "This elderly servant will go now." The steward left as Sima Lai sat in the house with his heart constantly jittery. He kept pacing around the house. The steward came back, saying, "General, I have already sent men to look for eldest young master and second young master. They should be back by tomorrow morning." Fourth master has already returned, while fifth young master is in closed-door cultivation and has not been seen. "You haven't managed to see you?" Sima Lai asked. Yes, when we went over, young Master Chu said that fifth young master said that before he had gone into seclusion, he gave orders that he was not to be disturbed. I'm guessing that he is at a crucial point in his cultivation. The steward replied, however, he said that young master has already gone in for 2 days and it should be around the time that he comes out from seclusion. We will go tomorrow morning to take another look if fifth young master has come out from his seclusion. We will ask him to return immediately. Sima Lai said, yes, General. The steward left after accepting the order. On the morning of the second day, apart from Sima Yu, Sima Yu Ming, Sima Yu Qi, Sima Yu Ran and Sima Yulu had all arrived. Grandfather, why did you suddenly call all of us back? Sima Yu Ming asked, right, what situation was so urgent that we even have quite a few of our family stores whose stocks have not been tallied? Sima Yu Qi said, we have classes today as well. Sima Yula said, you all have to leave the imperial capital immediately. You are not to return within 1 year. Sima Lai said, what? Why? Grandfather. Leave? The four of them were stunned by what Sima Lai had said. Even the steward who was standing at the side looked at Sima Lai with complete shock. You must go and pack your things and leave in a moment. You are not to return within the time of a year, Sima Lai said. Grandfather, what has happened? Why do you want us to leave? Sima Yuren asked. You just have to obey my instructions, Sima Lai said calmly. Grandfather, if you do not give us an explanation, we will not leave. Sima Yuming said, that's right, Grandfather, if you don't explain, we definitely won't leave. Sima Yula said, you all better not anger me. Sima Lai roared, Grandfather, if you don't give us an explanation, even if we left, our hearts would be unsettled. Sima Yuren said, sigh. Sima Lai heaved a great sigh, saying, this temperament of all of you fine then. I will tell you all the reasons. Sima Lai told them about the truth of their clan and even told them of his premonition. Grandfather, are you saying that people from our clan could possibly come over here? Sima Yuming furrowed his eyebrows. He had never thought that they would actually have this kind of history. The feeling I had yesterday was extremely intense, and I felt that they will all possible going to arrive. Sima Lai said, they are the pillars of the Sima clan. So you all definitely have to leave. If something really happens, this can be seen as a way out. Grandfather, what about fifth bro? Sima Yuren asked. Still in the academy in closed-door cultivation, I sent men to notify him that the moment he comes out from seclusion, he is to leave immediately. Sima Lai said, enough, there's no time to lose, you must depart immediately. But grandfather, if those few people really do come, how could we rest assured leaving you alone at home? Sima Yulu was unwilling to leave and wanted to stay behind to accompany Sima Lai. Nonsense. Sima Lai suddenly shouted. If people from that side really came, would you even be able to be their opponent based on your current power? With a single look, they would be able to render you immobile. What would you use to face them? Your life? But it's not a given that they will come. Sima Yulu lowered his head and said in a small voice, Grandfather, why don't you come with us? Sima Yuran said, I am the general of the kingdom. How could I leave with you all? Sima Lai shook his head. You all must remember that no matter what happens, you are not to return. The most important thing is to guard your lives. Do you understand? We understand, Grandfather. Enough. All your things have been prepared for you. Each one of you should take an interspatial ring and go. Sima Lai took out 4 interspatial rings as he spoke. The 4 of them stepped forward, took the interspatial rings and dripped their blood on them. Sima Lai brought the 4 of them out, and just as they walked out of the house, his body suddenly felt a burst of power as he immediately looked towards the sky. They're coming. Just as Sima Lai had spoke, a burst of power quickly came from outside the city. Escape quickly. Sima Lai pushed Sima Yuming, who was beside him, as he urged, haha, you want to run? It's too late. An unbridled voice was heard. As it stunned the entire imperial capital, Sima Lai leaped into the air, into the space above the general residence, and looked at the group of people who had just flown in. Their expressions were solemn like never before, feeling that some strong experts had come. The people in the capital slowly came outside to take a look, one after the other. Swish, swish, 2 silhouettes quickly flashed and arrived in the air, and it was actually the old principal and a guard from the imperial palace. When they saw Sima Lai, the old principal flew over and asked, what happened? The auras of 3 spirit overlords and a spirit saint. Who are these people who came? Sima Lai glanced at the old principal, saying, this is an issue that involves my Sima clan. You and old Huang don't have to involve yourselves in it. That old Huang naturally did not want to involve himself, so when he heard what Sima Lai said, he stood extremely far away. Sima Lai took out a ring, saying, "I must trouble you to help me pass this to you. You definitely must not let him come out. You can return." The old principal took the ring and flew to a side. However, he did not leave. He merely stood far away, planning to watch the things that would unfold. Sima Lin brought Sima Kai and the others, arriving quickly in the imperial capital. Up in the air seeing Sima Lai, Sima Kai was quite surprised and he opened his mouth, saying, "You actually didn't die." Sima Lin, Sima Kai and Sima Qing were 3 spirit saints. He lowered his head, looking over at Sima Yuming and the other 3 who were in the house. His heart flashed with determination. Sima Lai, at that time, you all evaded punishment and escaped. The clan had expended large amounts of effort but did not manage to catch you all. I never expected that you all would actually hide in a place like this. Sima Ku looked at Sima Lai as his eyes flashed with a peculiar mood before they came. He had already discussed it with Sima Kai. No matter what, he would not let them return back to their clan alive. If it was possible, it would be best to completely exterminate them all on the spot. Sima Kai looked at Sima Lai with eyes full of murderous intent. Since he had actually managed to survive after being bitten by the 6-toed devil mouse, he should be able to recognize the creature. He definitely must not let him reveal this, or else. Chapter 130. Big Brother Lai, Sima Qing called out. When she saw Sima Lai, the greeting she used to call him back when they were children, Sima Lai heard the greeting which brought him back in time for a moment before he looked at Sima Qing and asked, "You are Qinger?" Big Brother Lai still remembers Qinger. Sima Qing smiled lightly. With unparalleled grace, Sima Lai smiled lightly at her before turning his gaze onto Sima Lin, saying, "This should be Sima Lin." Ever since they were young, the only one who was able to tell Sima Qing what to do was only Sima Lin. Sima Lin looked at Sima Lai. He never thought that Sima Lai would actually be able to develop his cultivation to such a degree in this dilapidated place. If he was back in the clan, his current powers would not be lower than his own. Sima Lai. What about the others? Sima Lin glanced down and saw that it was only Sima Yuming and the other 3 young men who were from 1 generation after him, as well as the guard. He didn't see any other people. The others? Sima Lai laughed coldly. Could it be that those who had returned to report did not tell you all that? Aside from me, the others had all died? All dead. Then 3rd elder sister and the others. Sima Qing looked at Sima Lai, wanting to see if he was lying or not. It was a pity that she could not see any lack of confidence, only a gaze filled with unrestrained hatred. "They're already been dead for almost 100 years, Sima Lai said coldly. Sima Lin was extremely surprised when she heard this piece of news. However, the shock flashed for a moment before dissipating completely, as if it never surfaced at all. Sima Lai, you were actually able to live alone up until now, even bearing so many sons and daughters, even adding on to the next generation. It's really a marvel," Sima Ku said in a peculiar manner. "Sima Ku? That you, the scoundrel, actually managed to live up until now really is a marvel," Sima Lai retorted sarcastically. Sima Ku never expected that Sima Lai would actually know how to retort. He said, "You criminals who had escaped the law. If you do not return with us quietly right now, don't blame us for attacking without holding back. Return with you all? Do you feel it is possible?" Sima Lai looked at the few of them. His face held no traces of panic, only resolution. "The things that happened that year were by no means settled before you all left. As a result, you all have to return with us." Sima Lin opened her mouth. "And it was an unquestionable order. Haha, if we had not escaped that year, it seems that even I would have lost my life. Now that the clan is in some unknown state, if we return, we will undoubtedly die. You tell me, why should I return with you?" Big Brother Lai, father, also said later on when he returned that the raging inferno blow was something that either your father had killed 3rd grandfather for, or it was that 3rd grandfather had passed this on to him before being killed by others at that point. Things were not made clear. It was possible that you all were unjustly accused. If this is indeed what happened, wouldn't you want to cleanse yourself of this injustice? Sima Lai's eyes flashed with some hesitation, and Sima Kai looked at Sima Ku. Sima Ku immediately shouted, "Since you are not willing to with us quietly, we can only use force to capture you." "Take this." Sima Ku threw an attack at Sima Lai as he said, with a speed that did not give Sima Qing and the others a chance to stop him. Sima Lai saw Sima Kai's attack coming as the hesitation in his heart turned to rage. He used both hands to condense his chi before throwing it towards Sima-ku. The spiritual power coming from the both of them exploded in an arc, meeting in the center. They actually collided with each other as both of them were forced to retreat because of the rebound. Grandfather! Grandfather! General! Sima Yuming and the others shouted in surprise when they saw Sima Lai fighting with the other person. Men, come. We will go and protect the general together. The steward saw that both sides had began to fight as he called all those who were ranked Spirit King and above to fly into the air, stopping in front of Sima Lai, fifth bro. Sima Kai went up to catch Sima Ku, bringing him back to where Sima Lin and the others were. Fifth great uncle, are you okay? Sima Yulan flew over and asked, while looking at Sima Ku worriedly. All those flying in the air, those who were of the same generation as Sima Yu and the others, were actually all Spirit Kings. Yulan, you take care of fifth great uncle. Sima Kai handed Sima Ku over to Sima Yulan. Before flying in front to look at Sima Lai, he released his imposing aura from head to toe, saying, pig-headed fool, you actually tried to take Kes' life. You, malicious and violent person. I will definitely take you down today. He released his spirit saint-ranked power, causing all the people below to escape one by one. This was a battle of a spirit saint and would affect a large range. Its power was strong, so it was better for all those small fries to escape. Although this was a nice spectacle to watch, their little lives were infinitely more important. Sima Lai looked at Sima Kai and took out his own weapon. The last time you snuck up on me. So today I will make use of this opportunity to take revenge. Steward, you all go back down. General, you all go down to protect the young masters. This is an order. Once Sima Lai gave the order, the steward unwillingly brought the men and headed down. They also knew that they were able to block even a single blow from Sima Kai. However, they still wanted to protect Sima Lai with their lives. Despite that, the young masters were even more in need of protection. Grandfather, he's the one who hurt you the previous time? You all be careful of his Sima Yulu thought of how Sima Lai had been injured by that person before and knew that he had a devil creature hidden somewhere on him and subconsciously called out to remind him. However, he had yet to finish his sentence when he had been knocked to a dead faint by the aura released by Sima Kai noisy. Sima Kai worriedly threw out the words at the back and directly knocked him unconscious. While he was at it, he also knocked Sima Yuming and the others unconscious when he saw them. Young master. The steward never expected that one's power would be so strong after reaching the level of a spirit saint. Able to knock others unconscious just like that, he quickly ran over to check on their condition. It was only after he knew that they were merely unconscious that he let loose a breath, bringing the guards along with him to protect them. Sima Lai saw that Sima Kai had knocked his grandsons unconscious and flew towards him to attack within the spirit pearl. Sima Yu was able to rest and reorganize herself for over a day. Her spiritual chi had already fully recovered. She didn't know why, but she was felt very unsettled. In order to avoid making a mistake, she gave up the idea of continuing to cultivate. She flashed out of the spirit pearl and planned to go and give the 100 revolutions pill to Fatty Chu and the others. When she came to the room, she took out a few jade bottles and placed 2 pills within each one. At that time, she would be able to give each person 1 bottle, making it more convenient. Just as she had finished dividing up the pills, an urgent knock sounded. Yu Yu, something big is happening. Are you out of your seclusion yet? Hearing the anxiousness in Fatty Chu's voice, she waved a hand and kept the pills before rushing over to open the door. Fatty, what important thing has happened? Yu, something has happened at the general's residence. Your grandfather is fighting with others. Fatty Chu said urgently. Boom. As if to authenticate his claims, a loud sound came from the distance. It seemed like that power would be capable of wiping out half the capital. What's going on? Could it be that he is fighting with the elder of the Nalan clan that refuses to die? Sima Yu asked. It's not. I don't recognize those people, but I watched them from afar just now and I heard the people around there saying that there were 3 spirit saints and even a spirit overlord and spirit king. I don't know where they came from. Hey, you, wait for me. Fatty Chu had yet to finish what he was saying before Sima Yu had immediately run out of the main door. Chapter 131. Sima Yu dashed out of the academy and saw that a single guard from the general's residence had pulled her to a stop. 5th young master. The general has asked for you to leave the imperial capital. This item is for you. Sima Yu saw that there was an interspatial ring in the guard's hand and immediately grabbed it from him. turning around to sprint madly to the general's residence. Young Master Sai. That guard saw that Sima Yu was dashing towards the general's residence and quickly chased after her. When Wei Ziqi, Bei Gongtang and Ouyang Fei heard the commotion outside, they came out to see that Sima Yu and Fatty Chu were running over and quickly caught up to them. Fatty Chu chased her outside. But the moment they reached outside the academy, they could not even see the silhouette of Sima Yu. Fatty, what happened? Wei Ziqi and the others pulled Fatty Chu back to ask. Something big has happened at the general's residence. Fatty Chu slapped his thigh as he cried out. What happened? Bei Gongtang asked. Boom. The violent strike caused the entire ground to shake. This at the fighting strength of a spirit saint. Ouyang Fei looked towards the direction of the battle and shock. Fatty Chu said worriedly, I don't know where 3 spirit saints came from, but there is even a spirit overlord and spirit king who came to the general's residence to find trouble. Right now, one of them is fighting with the general. What? That Yu just ran over there like that? Isn't it really dangerous? Wei Ziqi said worriedly. That's right. I chased her out here, but she disappeared the moment I took my eyes off her. Fatty Chu said. Let's go and take a look, Bei Gongtang said as she ran towards the academy gate. The academy entrance was already filled with many students who were inside, and the entrance was so packed that there was no space for even water to pass. The main gate was closed. New teaching director stood on a higher ground, saying to the students below, It's dangerous outside now. The academy has decided to lock the academy gate and erect an array that will protect the academy. No other. Students will be allowed outside. Activate the array. Just as he was speaking, a blue ray of light slowly illuminated the entire school. Not a single person inside could leave and not a single person outside could enter. What do we do now? Yu is still outside. Fatty Chu said anxiously. Once the great array activates, we will definitely be unable to leave unless we turn it off. All those on the outside have no choice but to wait as well. Wei Ziqi said. Bei Gongtang looked towards the people who were fighting in the air, muttering, You better not let anything happen to you in mid-air. Sima Lai looked at Sima Kai as both his hands were placed in front of his chest. His hands quickly formed a seal, and the spiritual chi of the fire attribute followed his actions, quickly condensing together, slowly forming a flame sword. Raging Inferno Slash. The flame sword's range was 3 meters as it slashed towards Sima Kai. I never thought that Big Brother Lai's Raging Inferno Slash would actually reach such a high level. Sima Qing looked at the flame sword, then looked at Sima Kai. However, she didn't make a single move. Sima Kai watched the large blade swing down and increased his speed, and it was actually evenly matched to Sima Lai's speed. The previous time, he was precisely injured by this move. This time, he was unable to use the 6-toed devil mouse, and it seemed like he was going to be injured again. However, if Sima Lai dared to hurt him, Sima Lai better not think that he would live past today. Sima Yu ran to the general's residence, and it was currently a giant field of chaos. The door had already been broken into 2, and the house was completely trashed. It was fortunate that all the people inside had already evacuated and nobody was trapped inside. Big Brothers. Sima Yu saw Sima Yu Ming and the others, who were fainted on these ruins, and quickly ran over. 5th Young Master. What are you doing here? The steward saw Sima Yu and said worriedly, You have to quickly escape while they still haven't noticed you. There's no way I could escape on my own. Sima Yu stopped in front of Sima Yu Ming and the others. She took a look at their bodies and ascertained that they were fine before heaving a sigh of relief. She turned and faced Sima Lai in the sky, asking, Who is that man in the air? The general said just now that he was the one who had injured him the previous time. However, he didn't say who it was. The steward replied, Young Master, you better escape. They have already noticed me. Sima Yu stood up and looked coldly at Sima Kai. It was precisely this guy that had the 6-toed devil mice, that he used to secretly attack grandfather and wound him. Just as Sima Lai's flame sword was about to slash down, Sima Kai's Raging Inferno Slash slowly emerged, as he quickly used it to block Sima Lai's blade. You weren't my match a few months, and there's no difference now. The last time, I was injured by your sneak attack, but this time, I will not make the same mistake. I will definitely take your life. Sima Lai said as he saw how Sima Kai's blade had been slightly scattered by his own blade. Sima Kai looked at how his own blade was slowly scattering, In a few more moments, Sima Lai's blade would slash at him. It was precisely at this moment that Sima Lin, who had remained unmoving the entire time, took action with a single thought. Sima Lai and Sima Kai's blades were completely frozen. No matter how those two tried to move, their flame blades would no longer listen to the commands of these two. People's space seal. Sima Yu saw Sima Lin's actions and cried out with shock. Sima Lin never thought that someone would be able to recognize his move and glanced downwards. He saw a lone figure standing upright amongst the ruins disperse. His voice was languid, but it was like thunder, penetrating straight into Sima Yu's heart. The flame sword that had been sealed actually no longer had the support of the fire-based spiritual chi, slowly scattering according to what he said, puff puff, as his own. Spiritual skill had been forcefully dispersed. Sima Kai and Sima Lai each both suffered a backlash and spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. They both grasped their chests and retreated back a few meters. Big Brother Lai, are you okay? Sima Qing saw that Sima Lai was injured and dashed downwards immediately. She came beside him and looked at him with concern. Sima Lai saw that Sima Qing had dashed over without caring for her own safety. He patted her hair just as he did when she was younger, saying, "Still okay? Still okay? I still have Qinger, who's still the same as before." The rims of Sima Qing's eyes reddened as she said, "Brother Lai, don't fight back anymore. Big Brother is already fast approaching the rank of Spirit Paragon. You won't be able to defeat him. Just return with us. We'll go back to clarify what happened that year." Qinger, do you think I still am able to clarify what happened that year? Sima Lai gave a bitter smile. If that were really possible, we would not have had any need to flee that time, either. Brother Lai. Sima Qing saw that Sima Lai's eyes held traces of pain and bit on her lower lip. She wanted to persuade him, but was unable to speak a word. Lai, the things done that year have not yet been clarified and made clear. You brought that raging inferno blow with you and left, so you have to come with us today. Sima Lin looked at Sima Lai. If the clan truly feels that you have committed a crime, if they wanted to banish you, they would just make you come back again. Sima Lai, although you are a spirit saint, you are wounded. If you still don't come with us, don't blame us for punishing you here right now. Sima Ku even cast a glance downwards to Sima Yu and the others as he said this. Grandfather. No. Sima Yu saw the murderous intent in Sima Kai and Sima Kes eyes and shouted, "Even if you go with them, you still will die. Why don't you fight a battle to the death right here? Even if we really die, we will take these two down with us." Little Roar came out and enlarged himself as Sima Yu sat on his back. They came beside Sima Lai, facing off Sima Lin and the others. Chapter 132. Sima Lin looked at Sima Yu and saw her spirit beast. He was actually unable to tell what spirit beast it was. "Who are you?" he asked, thinking about how he had actually managed to recognize his own space seal. Sima Yu. Sima Yu looked at Sima Lin. "No matter what happened that time, you can't bring us back with you. I will never trust the words of anyone who keeps the company of devil creatures to be pure and innocent." "What did you say?" Sima Lin furrowed his eyebrows as his eyes flashed with anger. "What did I say? Could it be that you're too old and your ears are not working anymore? So you can't understand what I'm saying?" Sima Yu laughed coldly. "It is said that people who walk different paths cannot journey on the same road. Only jackals of the same tribe can walk together. Since you actually consort with creatures from the devil realm, do you think that we would trust anything you say?" "What do you mean we consort with creatures from the devil realm? Don't slander my Sima clan." Sima Yulan heard what Sima Yu said and flew over angrily, denouncing everything she said. "Slander? Don't tell me that you don't know that my grandfather was harmed by your clan's six-toed devil mouse the last time." Sima Yu said, "Six-toed devil mouse? What would a creature from the devil realm be with my Sima clan?" Sima Yulan was so angry that her face turned completely red as she was upset at Sima Yu's fabricated slander. "Yu, go down," Sima Lai said when he saw that Sima Lin's expression was turning darker and darker. "According to what you said, it is Kai who has the six-toed devil mouse?" Sima Lin looked at Sima Yu as the pressure from up above suppressed those below until they were unable to breathe. However, she had already long gotten used to the pressure that Mo Sha gave off and did not have too much of a reaction. She laughed coldly. "Even if you want to use your pressure to suppress us, it won't change this fact, Kai. Sima Lin looked at Sima Yu as he shouted at the person beside him, "Big brother, how could I possibly be impossible of a creature from the devil realm? I don't even know what a six-toed devil mouse looks like." Sima Kai never thought that Sima Yu would directly throw this fact out and could only lie. Heard that? Sima Yulan looked at Sima Yu. "Our Sima clan is a great family clan from the Yilin continent. How could we possibly have any association with those devil creatures?" Although Sima Lin and Sima Qing did not say anything, the expressions on their faces revealed that they thought the same. Sima Yu gave a cold smirk as she patted Little Roar. Little Roar immediately understood as he opened his mouth and gave a loud roar. Roar dash. Although Little Roar's voice was loud, it did not have much effect on the people present. It was only Sima Kai who hugged his head as his face revealed his torment. "Third great uncle, what's wrong with you?" Sima Yulan asked when she saw that Sima Kai was hugging his head. Sima Yulan's voice attracted the attention of everyone present. "Third brother, what's wrong with you?" Sima Ku asked. Sima Qing looked at Sima Kai as he asked sternly, "Sima Kai, what is up with you?" With one hand covering his head, Sima Kai pointed at Sima Yu said, "What did you do to me?" Sima Yu patted Little Roar's head and Little Roar roared once again. Sima Kai's pain intensified as he could no longer maintain his flight as his lone figure immediately hurtled to the ground. Sima Ku flew down and caught Sima Kai just before he hit the ground. "What did you do to my third great uncle?" Sima Yulan was going to attack Sima Yu as she spoke, but she was rooted to his spot by a single glance from Sima Lin. Sima Lin turned around to look at Little Roar, saying, "What is going on?" "You will know after it happens." Once more, as Sima Yu finished speaking, Little Roar followed up with another roar, "A dash." Sima Kai, who was on the ground, gave a huge bellow as a six-toed devil mouse came out from his body, stunning everyone around him. "What is this? It's so ugly." Sima Yulan immediately called out when she saw that its entire body was black, and it was even leaking black-colored water. It was a mouse that was around the same size as a rabbit. Sima Lin and Sima Qing recognized that it was a creature from the devil realm immediately. Seeing that it possessed 6 toes, Sima Qing cried out, "Six-toed devil mouse." The expressions of the people from the Sima clan immediately turned ugly. They were just declaring with such conviction that the Sima clan would definitely have no relations with any creatures from the devil realm, but this was displayed clearly for all to see. It was like a rude slap to their face. "Six-toed devil mouse, third great uncle, how could you possess something like this?" Sima Yulan was stunned. Her face was marked with disbelief. Screech. The six-toed devil mouse was also quite severely injured by the roar, as it kept thrashing around on the ground the moment it appeared. It saw that Sima Yu's eyes were suffused with murderous intent. "Sima Kai, how could you be in possession of a devil beast?" Sima Qing roared. "That's right, third brother, how could you have a devil beast?" Even Sima Ku was extremely confused. Screech. The six-toed devil mouse was like a lantern as it keeps spitting at the people around it, revealing its malicious and evil nature. Screech. Seeing Sima Ku, who was beside Sima Kai, the six-toed devil mouse flew over to bite him. However, before it had even reached him, he was blasted to the side by a burst of spirit power. Seeing the six-toed devil mouse, Little Roar became extremely impatient. Without Sima Yu's instruction, he released a loud roar, directly causing the six-toed devil mouse to thrash about. In the next moment, it lay unmoving on the ground. Pfft. When the six-toed devil mouse died, Sima Kai vomited out a mouthful of black blood before he fainted. A single spirit saint expert was defeated just like that. This change of tides flabbergasted everyone on site. Sima Lin took a single look at the ground. Seeing that Sima Kai still has some breath in him, he ignored him, turning his gaze to land on Sima Yu instead. "Lai, what do you say now? Big brother Lai, come home with us. If they really want to kill you without getting to the bottom of things, I will even stake my life to ensure your safety," Sima Qing said. Grandfather Sima Yu looked towards Sima Lai. She really did not want Sima Lai to say that he was going to go back. The impression that the Sima clan had given her was too bad. If they were really to return, she was afraid that they would lose their lives. Sima Lin saw the old principal, who was standing at a distance. He saw the worry in his eyes and said, "Lai, since they know you are here, even if I let you go back home, they will send others to come for you another day. If you go back with us, we can ensure your safety. If others were to come, I can't guarantee that all those people below would be able to keep their lives." Sima Lai swept his glance over Sima Yuming and the others who were unconscious, as his eyes revealed his struggle. He had initially thought that he would stake his life to provide them an opportunity to escape, however. He never thought that Sima Lin's strength would exceed his by so much. He had even grasped the techniques of space manipulation. Even if he sacrificed himself, it would do nothing more than throw his life away. After running for so many years, he should go back to seek justice for his parents. Although he did not know whether or not he truly would be able to do so, hiding in this place forever would hinder the growth of Sima Yuming and his brothers. Forget it. I will go back with you, grandfather. Sima Yu's eyes went wide as she stared at Sima Lai. She couldn't believe that he would actually say these words willingly. Chapter 133. Sima Lai saw that astonishment in Sima Yu's eyes and knew that she didn't understand. He said, Yu, we can't run away for our whole lives. There are some things that we just can't implicate others in. Sima Yu took a glance at the destroyed ground below her as well as the ruined city. She saw the innocent citizens and understood a little bit of Sima Lai's actions. But grandfather, if we follow them, will they really give us justice? Sima Yu looked at Sima Lin and the others suspiciously. Because of the issue with Sima Kai, she had no trust in the entire clan. Yu, it's only going to be your brothers and You're not coming, Sima Lai said hesitantly. Grandfather. Sima Yu received a huge shock. Every single person from the Sima clan has to be brought back. Sima Lin said, Actually, I didn't want to tell you about this, but there's no way I can keep it from you now. You are actually not a person from my Sima clan. We were merely taking care of you, Sima Lai said. Because of this, you don't have to participate in any things involving Sima. Grandfather, I knew it long ago. However, you were the ones who raised me up till now, so you are all my family. Sima Yu said definitively. You knew. This time it was Sima Lai's turn to be astonished. Could it be that Sima Yuming and the others had told her? Because a few things happened, so I had a few suspicions before. Later on, I asked Master and he admitted it. Sima Yu said, Since you already know it, then you should not have come here, Sima Lai said as his face turned solemn. Grandfather. You were my grandfather before this and you will be my grandfather even in the future. I used to be a member of the Sima clan and I always will be. This is a fact that will never change. Sima Yu looked at Sima Lai as she expressed her thoughts completely. Sima Li was extremely moved as he looked at Sima Yu. He never thought that she was already well aware of her own identity, yet was still unwilling to retreat in the face of danger. However, he was not able to let her come along with him. The future was filled with too much uncertainties. He looked towards Sima Lin and said, She's not someone from the Sima clan, you can't take her back. Sima Lin glanced at Sima Yu. But he didn't express any opinion. Since this is the case, well, head down first then. Whether or not we are to bring her will be discussed when we're down, Sima Qing said. The group of them reached the ground as Sima Lai looked anxiously at Sima Yuming and the others. Seeing that they were fine, he let out a breath. You have to cultivate properly after we leave. I believe that you will be able to walk out of here not long later. Sima Lai patted Sima Yu on the back and said, After she got off Little Roar's body, Grandfather, are you going to listen to Grandfather's instructions or not? Sima Lai stared at Sima Yu. You are an array master? Sima Lin suddenly asked. Not counted as one yet, Sima Yu said. Then your mental strength is already very strong. Sima Lin said, Since this is the case, I will give you a chance. If you are able to receive 3 of my hits of mental attack, I will let you come with us. If you can't, you cannot go and you cannot stop them from leaving, okay? Sima Yu immediately agreed. This Sima Lai was quite hesitant and was afraid Sima Yu would get hurt. Brother Lai, believe in eldest brother, Sima Qing said, Come. Then Sima Yu walked off to the side and turned around to face Sima Lin. At this moment, Sima Yuming and the other 3 suddenly regained consciousness. Seeing the ruins in front of them, they were unable to react for a while. They had no idea that this was the place they used to live. Sima Lin looked at Sima Yu, saying, Have you thought it through? If you can't take 3 of my hits, you will be severely injured. I have naturally thought it through. Sima Yu replied, Begin. Sima Lin looked at Sima Yu and, with a single thought, Sima Yu felt as if her brain was a pincushion. Her face turned pale immediately. She fainted for a moment, but Sima Yu did not fall down. Despite that, her mental strength depleted by quite a bit. Sima Lin looked at Sima Yu as his eyes flashed with a trace of amazement. He never thought that Sima Yu's mental strength would be so powerful. A strike was only enough to cause her to lose consciousness. Grandfather, what is Fifth Bro doing? Sima Yuren asked as he looked at Sima Yu and Sima Lin. Sima Lai heaved a sigh as he explained the current situation. Prepare for my second attack. When Sima Lin finished speaking, Sima Yu felt as if a huge mountain had suddenly rested upon her back. That weight continued to press her downwards, causing her entire body to bend lower and lower. Sima Yu did try to use her own mental power to resist, but the opponent's strength was too large and her little resistance was completely futile. Ugh, Sima Yu's entire body was soaked with sweat as her entire person was suppressed under the mental power and a single knee was kneeling on the ground. Fifth bro. Sima Yuming and the other three saw the state that Sima Yu was in and wanted to help her, but they were pulled by Sima Lai and had to remain in place. Sima Lai shook his head in their direction, and although Sima Yuming and the others didn't understand, they remained unmoving. They merely watched Sima Yu worriedly, Kacha, because she thought of wanting to stand up little by little. She was pushed to the ground once again. Her knee hit the ground ferociously, and the sound that everyone heard was of her knee shattering. Fifth bro. Sima Lai cried out in panic as he shouted towards Sima Lin, "What are you doing? Why are you making things difficult for her?" Sima Lai wanted to stop it, but Sima Qing grabbed a hold of his hand, saying, "Big brother Lai, eldest brother is currently opening the door to her potential." Sima Lai took a look and realized that Sima Yu's attitude was clearly no longer the same as before. He lowered the hand that was raised. The exchange between the two lasted no more than 10 or 20 minutes before Sima Yu was defeated. The strength was completely drained from her body and multiple bones were either fractured or shattered. When Sima Lin retrieved his mental energy, Sima Yu was already quickly losing consciousness. She lay unmoving on the ground. "Grandfather, nothing will happen to fifth bro, right?" Sima Yu asked as he looked towards Sima Yu. Sima Lai did not know either, but he merely pursed his lips and remained silent. "You lost," Sima Lin said as he looked at Sima Yu who was on the ground, declaring the results of the match between them. Sima Yu lay on the ground as her entire body felt like it had been run over by a car. Was this the strength of a spirit saint? Sima Lin took a look at Sima Lai before Sima Lai called the steward over, saying, "In the future, the general's residence no longer exists. Hand out the clan's assets to everyone. In the future, you can forge out your own path, General." "Are you really leaving?" The steward looked at Sima Lai with worry. "I can't not go." Sima Lai patted the steward. "I have to trouble you to take of young master during this period of time. When he is healed, let him do whatever he wants." "Yes, General." The steward promised unwillingly. Sima Yuming and the other three knew that nobody would voice out any disagreements towards Sima Lai's decision. If Sima Lai wanted to go, it was natural that they would go together. "Yulan, are you still unable to sense where the golden snake fruit tree is?" Sima Lin asked. "I can't." Sima Yulan shook her head. "We have no time to delay. Since we cannot find it, we have to give it up. We will return now." It was at this moment that a weak voice was heard from the ground. 3 years. Chapter 134. Sima Yu's voice was very, very weak. However, every single person heard it. 3 years. Sima Yu's voice transmitted once again. After that, everyone thought that they saw her unconscious body move. "Yu? Cough, cough." Sima Yu coughed twice as both her hands slowly moved back, pushing herself off the ground to stand. 3 years. She repeated it once more. Seeing that Sima Yu had stood up, Sima Qing and Sima Lin were both surprised. It was especially so for Sima Lin since was the one most clear about the degree of her injuries. He never thought that not only did she remain conscious, she was even able to stand. "What do you mean by 3 years?" Sima Yulan was also stunned by Sima Yu and asked, "I know where the golden snake fruit is. In 3 years, you all must take care of grandfather and the others. Cough, cough. Ensure their safety. In 3 years, I will personally go to the Sima clan and use the golden snake fruit to and trade for my grandfather and brothers." Sima Yu's body swayed twice, as if it was going to fall down. She was no longer able to speak, but her gaze was extremely resolute. Everyone on site was completely stunned and momentarily unable to speak a word. Fifth bro. Sima Yuming and the other three's eyes turned red. Sima Yu ran over to support Sima Yu as Sima Yu took a pill and fed it to her. Sima Lin's eyes flashed as he said, "You said that you know where the golden snake fruit has ended up?" "I know whose hands it is in, but I don't know where he is." Sima Yu recovered slightly, saying, "This golden snake fruit must be very important to you. In comparison to the grandfather that you all chased out of it should be infinitely more crucial. What makes you think that?" Sima Lin raised his eyebrows as his interest towards Sima Yu increased. Sima Yu did not lean on Sima Yu ran but stood on her own. She looked at Sima Lin, saying slowly, when those people returned, they naturally brought back news of the golden snake fruit. If it was not important to you all, there's no way you would rush here so quickly in thinking that someone very important to you had an injury to their soul. Once you knew about the golden snake fruit, you fell over yourselves. Dashing here, Sima Yu Lan's impression of Sima Yu improved more and more. She really was very intelligent and had guessed the entire story accurately. Sima Lin didn't speak, so Sima Yu coughed twice lightly before continuing. So, this golden snake fruit is important to you. I didn't speak falsely, right? Using my grandfather and the others to exchange for the golden snake fruit in 3 years would not be disadvantageous to you all at all. Why should I conduct this exchange with you? Sima Lin, we won't even know if we can wait for 3 years. It could be that 3 years later we won't need that golden snake fruit anymore. A soul injury is an injury of their spirit, not their body. Not only will said person be able to live 3 years, even 30 years would pose no problem. Sima Yu said, you know medicinal arts? Sima Qing asked. Sima Yu did not reply. She only watched Sima Lin, asking, if so? Even if you were right on this point, how can we believe that you will be able to bring the golden snake fruit to us in 3 years' time? The outside is perilous and surrounded by dangers. Even the average spirit saint would not lightly pass this area. For a little tiny spirit master like you, how would you be able to reach the rank of spirit saint in just 3 years? Sima Lin said. I have my own ways, Sima Yu said. How I go and look for the golden snake fruit and break through the barrier to the outside is my own problem. You just have to protect grandfather and the others for 3 years. On this day, 3 years later, I will definitely appear in front of the gates to your Sima clan. Do you dare to make this exchange with me or not? You don't care about us. You just have to go and settle your own things in the future. You don't have to worry about us anymore, Sima Lai said to Sima Yu with eyes that reflected his reluctance. Sima Yu looked at Sima Lin and waited for his reply. Okay, I will do this exchange with you, Sima Lin said. Within 3 years I will help them to settle down, but if you don't come 3 years later, I will let their fates be settled according to the decision of our clan. Okay, Sima Yu. You said, I believe that you are not someone who does not abide by his word. You definitely have to protect my grandfather and the others well, or else I will make your entire Sima clan regret. Her voice grew softer and softer, and was completely unclear at the end. Before speaking her last few words, she fainted. Fifth bro. Yu. Fifth young master. Sima Yu rested on Sima Yuran's body and was completely knocked out. Sima Qing looked at Sima Yu and sighed to Sima Lai. You raised a good grandson. Sima Lai walked over and hugged Sima Yu. He looked at her with heartache and tenderness for a moment before placing her in the steward's hands. Take good care of young master. Yes, General, this old servant will definitely use my life to protect him. The steward took Sima Yu as he promised. He had always known of Sima Yu's identity and had doted upon her. Now that he had been shaken by her, even if she was the only one in the Sima clan, he would definitely take good care of her and protect her. Sima Lai patted the steward on his shoulders as he said to Sima Lin, let's go. Sima Lin summoned a goshawk and that large raptor bird enlarged itself as it glided into the house. Divine beast. There were some who noticed the rank of the goshawk as they cried out in surprise. Sima Lin took the lead to climb on it as Sima Qing, Sima Lai and the others climbed on as well. Even Sima Ko brought the unconscious Sima Kai as he flew on. Sima Yulan hesitated for a moment before coming beside the steward and handing him a bottle of pills, saying, these are 4th-ranked pills and are extremely beneficial to healing his wounds. Give it to him in a moment. After she finished speaking, she placed the pills in Sima Yu's embrace and turned around to fly on the back of the goshawk. Once everyone had got on, the goshawk flapped its wings and flew away, blowing about all the sand on the ground. The old principal who was in the air the entire time watched as Sima Lai left with them. He secretly sighed as he landed on the ground, saying to the steward, give him to me. You go and settle whatever situation the Sima clan has left behind. When it is stable, come to the academy to look for him. The steward had heard Sima Lai entrust things to the old principal just now, so he handed Sima Yu over to the old principal as the Sima clan would undergo great trials. There would be great unrest regarding their properties. No matter what Sima Yu chose to do in the future, he would support her. He would make sure the unrest regarding their properties would not be too unsettled before she awoke. The old principal looked at Sima Yu. He had seen everything she did just now, and his heart both ached and approved of her actions. Thinking of the path that she would have to walk, he could not suppress a sigh. He hugged Sima Yu as he flew into the sky above the academy. The instructor of the guards at the entrance waved his hands, letting the men turn off the great array protecting the academy. He hugged Sima Yu and directly went to the house he stayed in. Bei Gongtang and the others saw her unconscious body and quickly ran towards the place she would stay in, leaving behind a ground of students who were still discussing about the events that had taken place. All parties of influence had already returned to their own houses and began to discuss the issue regarding how the powers in the imperial capital would be divided. The Sima clan now had power only in name. All the influential powers in the imperial capital had to redistribute the power, and everyone wanted to get a share of it. Many commoners came to the general's residence, and the residence that was originally majestic and awe-inspiring was now a site of ruins. This was living testimony of what a terrible scene had occurred. Chapter 135. The raging flame filled the sky with a blazing red as the entire house was burnt into ruins. The two words Shimin Residence on the nameplate on the door was slowly engulfed in flame. Shimin Yu, didn't you always rely on your talent that was superior to mine to constantly suppress me? You should turn your head around and take a look at the state your Shimin clan has fallen into. Ha. The screeching voice came from the midst of the flames and pierced the ears. Child, this situation can't be blamed on you in the future. You have to live your life well. Mother hopes that you will live on happily. This gentle voice filled with love soothed her unceasing pain. Her crimson wedding clothes, crimson flame and crimson blood continued to flash in front of her eyes. Sima Yu finally could stand it no longer as she suddenly shut her pair of eyes tightly. Young master, you've awoken. Chun Jian saw that Sima Yu's eyes were overflowing with tears. Just as she was going to help her wipe away the tears in her master's eyes, she saw him blink and called out with joy and surprise. Sima Yu turned her gaze and saw Chun Jian's face. Her consciousness then slowly returned to her as she thought of stretching forth a hand to slowly touch her head but realized her hand was bandaged. What does young master want to do? Chun Jian asked. Sima Yu shook her head, asking, where's this place? This is the principal's house. You've been here ever since you lost consciousness, Chun Jian said. At this time, Yin Yu came in front outside. Seeing that Sima Yu had regained consciousness, he said, young master, you've finally woken up. We were anxious to death because you've been unconscious for so many days. How long was I unconscious for? Sima Yu sat up and stretched forth a hand to take off her bandages when she saw herself wrapped up in it. It's already been 4 days, Chun Jian said. If it wasn't for the principal constantly reassuring us that you were fine, Yu and I would have been anxious to death. Sima Yu's hand paused, mumbling to herself, 5 days. That means that grandfather and the others have already been gone for 5 days. Yu went forward and pulled on Sima Yu's hand, saying, young master, why are you taking off your bandages? You still have wounds on your body. Sima Yu lowered her head and saw her body. She thought about the battle that she had with Sima Lin, about how she was not even able to handle 2 of his moves. My wounds have already healed and I don't need to wrap it. Sima Yu continued to take it off as she spoke. Chun Jian and Yun Yu wanted to stop her, but the two of them realized with a shock that, after Sima Yu had taken off the bandages, the wounds he had before had already healed. Completely, he came down from the bed and walked as if he was completely fine. Sima Yu pushed open the door and walked out directly. Young master's body. Yun Yu watched as Sima Yu went out and was so surprised she couldn't speak. Chun Jian pulled on her and shook her head at her, indicating that she should not be curious towards the young master's situation, since much earlier on she had already realized that it was not only the young master's temperament that had changed, but he held more and more secrets. Being his servant girl, it was better for them not to question so much. Sima Yu came to the house. The previous time she had come here to say goodbye to Feng Zhixing. She never thought that she would come back here again so quickly. The old principal was currently fiddling with his flowers and plants. Hearing sounds of movement, he knew who it was even before he turned his head. You've finally awoken after sleeping for so many days. I've caused principal much trouble. Sima Yu bent down to cover up her moodiness. The old principal stood up from the flower garden and currently resembled a farmer with his pants rolled up and with dirt on his hands. I promised your grandfather and master that I would take care of you, so it is only natural that I had to take care of you properly. The old principal walked out and said, follow me. Sima Yu watched somewhat speechlessly as the old principal released some steam, washing his hands. Clean of dirt, it was probably only him who would do something like using spiritual chi to clean his hands of dirt. The two of them came to the old principal's bedroom. He went into the inner room for a bit before coming out very quickly with the ring in his hands. He gave the ring to Sima Yuyu, saying, "This is something that your grandfather passed to me before the situation happened. He told me to pass it to you." Sima Yuyu took the ring and held it tightly in her hand. "Since you already said that nothing's wrong, you should make a trip back home," the old principal said, "in order to take of you. Chun Jian and Yun Yu have been staying here these past days. Now that you are well, let them return with you. Also, those few companions of yours have also come a few times. As for everything else, wait till you go home before deciding. I'll give you a break these few days. You can settle the things back home before returning to the academy." "I understand, thank you, principal." Sima Yu gave a bow to the principal and turned around to leave. Chun Jian and Yun Yu had already packed their things. Seeing Sima Yu emerge, the two of them quickly followed. "Chun Jian, how has the situation been at home these days?" Leaving the academy compound, the outside was in a complete mess, so Sima Yu asked when she thought about the general's residence, which had already turned into rubble. "Young master, we had always remained in the academy after you fainted and have not left that house, so we are unaware of the circumstances regarding the outside," Chun Jian replied. "Then we should go back and take a look together." Sima Yu gave a sigh as she brought them with her, heading back to the general's residence. When they came to the place where the general's residence originally was, they saw that the area had already been cleaned and a new house had even been constructed. The men from the general's residence were merely staying in those makeshift disaster houses for the time being. "Fifth young master, you're back." A guard noticed Sima Yu and happily reported this piece of happy news to the others. "Fifth young master, are you okay?" "Fifth young master." All the guards crowded over, surrounding Sima Yu in the center. Sima Lai and Sima Yuming and the others were not present, so Sima Yu had become their one and only master. Sima Yu nodded towards them, indicating that she was already fine. Seeing that the numbers of the guards had not dwindled, she was grateful in her heart. It seemed that there wasn't anyone who had abandoned the general's residence just because Sima Lai and the others were no longer around. "Where's the attendants?" "The steward is currently discussing some things with a few store owners and is currently over there where the kitchen used to be," a guard replied. "Got it, thanks." Sima Yu walked towards the place the kitchen used to be. When she walked past the library, she realized that a large portion of the house had already been destroyed. However, this book pavilion was completely fine. Could it be that this is some treasured object? Sima Yu muttered to herself as she looked at the book pavilion. However, she currently had no time to look into it. She figured that she would come take a look next time when she had the time and walked towards the kitchen. Right now, the kitchen was still the kitchen. However, the dining hall had turned into a conference hall. When Sima Yu arrived, she saw that steward currently discussing some things with the attendants. Seeing that she had entered, the people in the house all got to their feet. "Fifth young master, is your body okay?" the steward said with some agitation. Sima Yu nodded, saying, "It's already fine. Right now, tell me everything about the situation involving our general's residence and the imperial capital. You can all go down to rest. Only steward has to stay to tell me." When they received her order, the few attendants took their leave, leaving only the steward and her behind. Chapter 136. A great bunch who have decided to loot a burning house. Sima Yu slapped a hand on the table, directly splitting it into two. "Young master, there's still one more thing," the attendant said as he looked towards Sima Yu. "What?" "Because young master had revealed that you knew about what happened to the golden snake fruit, there were many who started making plans to harm you," the steward reported. Later on, the principal of the academy released news that anyone who had any plans to move against you would be taking a stand against the academy as well. As a result, those people didn't make any move. "Oh? Want to move against me?" Sima Yu gave a cold laugh. "Then let them come. When that time comes, if one appears, I'll kill one. If two appear, I'll kill two. If the entire clan comes, I wouldn't mind exterminating them all either." The attendant saw the coldness flash in Sima Yu's eyes and his heart was somewhat hurting. If it wasn't for this current state, how would he end up like this? "Young master, since the principal has released word, those few people would naturally not dare to act so openly. However, we still have to guard against any sneak attacks or tricks." The steward thought that Sima Yu was merely saying those things in anger and did not know that she really possessed that kind of strength. "We do not Have to think about this right now. I will settle it myself. Sima Yu waved her hands. Were you discussing some things about the shop with those attendants just now? That's right, quite a few powers have thought that the general's residence will fall apart since the general has left, so they plan to get a share. A few clans have come to look for me, wanting to buy our shop over at a low price. A few shops have directly stopped supplying us with goods. It appears that they are afraid we will be unable to pay for the items. As a result, our current situation is quite critical. We've even lost about half of our customers. So you're saying that our current shop is like an empty frame, Sima Yu said. That's right. I was just discussing with the others about whether or not it would be possible to look for another store. The steward said, is every outsider the kind to loot a burning house? Sima Yu asked, not necessarily. The Chu clan has sent men over saying that they were here to provide us a few wares, however. Their own abilities are limited as well and are unable to completely solve our crisis. The steward explained. Fatty Sima Yu thought of how, when she was unconscious, she had heard Fatty Chu beside her ear, telling her that he would not let anything happen to the Sima clan. He had actually really done it. Besides that, they're also the Beast Tamers Guild that has sent word saying that they will help us for some reason. They have sent some low-leveled spirit beasts that have already been tamed. The steward added, I also heard them say that it was the decision of the vice president. That should be because Zichi had gone to look for his granduncle. Sima Yu said, this is like coal in the midst of the winter and the perfect icing on the cake. No matter how the amount of help they accord us, we have to express our gratitude to them. Meanwhile, we can also let them think about how make those traitors who abandoned us pay. The steward saw the confidence in Sima Yu's eyes as his heart calmed down by quite a bit. As long as he did not fall, neither would the Sima clan. Young master, what should we do from now on? Go call those few attendants in. Let us discuss it for a while, Sima Yu said. She didn't believe that with her identity as a beast tamer master and an alchemist, she would be unable to support this Sima clan. Okay. The steward left and very quickly brought those attendants in. Fifth young master. The attendants simultaneously bowed towards Sima Yu. She was already their master right now. In the past, they used to follow the orders of Sima Lai without having to consult her, and had not truly acknowledged her. However, hearing about everything that transpired these few days, everyone slowly regarded her as their master. Forget it. Everyone just look for a seat and sit down. Sima Yu waved her hands, saying, Steward has just explained the situation to me first. Yu wants to thank everyone for staying loyal to the Sima clan without deserting and abandoning us. I give you my gratitude on behalf of my grandfather and brothers. She stood as she spoke, giving everyone a bow. Young master is too serious. Those few attendants slowly stood up, not daring to accept Sima Yu's great bow. This is something that I must do. Sima Yu sat down once again. As those attendants sat down, along with her, I also heard that one of two attendants have felt that the Sima clan would disband and have left. With regards to this, I do not blame them. However, I will say it here now with confidence that the Sima clan will not be less powerful than it used to be. It will only become greater. I will let every single one of those deserters regret the decision they made today. Great. We believe in young master. We will do everything that young master wants us to do. Sima Yu's short speech had motivated everyone present. She was now their pillar of support. First, we need the shop to be able to remain in business. Sima Yu said, I will provide the pills. Everyone need not worry about the pills and pill ingredients for spirit beasts. I will look for a beast tamer master as well as a few others. As for everything else, let's first look for the Chu clan. Even if it isn't profitable, we still have to secure some wares and cannot let there be any shortage. She was an alchemist and everyone knew it, so when she spoke about the issue regarding the pills, they did not feel anything was off. However, they were slightly hesitant when she talked about the spirit beasts. Young master, although the Beast Tamers Guild will lend us a bit of help, it will be unable to fulfill our needs. If we were to look for them for help, we're afraid that we would have to fork out no small price. An attendant said, we merely need them to provide the same amount of support they have before. As for everything else, we can only rely on ourselves. Sima Yu said, rely on ourselves? Young master, we don't have a beast tamer master among us. How will we rely on ourselves? Who said we don't have a beast tamer master? Sima Yu said, none of us know how to tame beasts. Could it be? Everyone slowly cast their gazes to Sima Yu as she nodded her head, saying, that's right, I'm a beast tamer master, so, in the coming future, there will be a period of time where you will be responsible for sending men out to capture spirit beasts. I will tame them. Young master is a beast tamer master? Everyone looked at her in shock as they were thinking about how true this current situation was. Young master, weren't you an alchemist? Someone asked, who told you that an alchemist cannot be a beast tamer master? Sima Yu retorted with this one line. No, nobody. That person shook his head dumbly as the shock he received was not a light one. But, young master, if we need people to go and capture spirit beasts, we're afraid that we have not enough manpower. The steward said, then hire more. Sima Yu said, but young master, we don't have much money on hand now. The steward said, in the past, we didn't have much profits, so we do not have much stock. Now we still have to repair the house and need to look for supplies. All these things require us to spend money. Furthermore, these spirit masters may not necessarily be able to be bought over by money. No money. This is indeed a big problem, Sima Yu said. However, if money will not do, we can use other ways to entice them to work with us, for example, giving them things they want. Chapter 137. The meeting had been going on for less than 2 hours ever since they had come out from the conference hall. The face of every single attendant was brimming with confidence, as if they had an extremely perfect future in sight. Sima Yu only came out after the attendance, so when the attendants saw Sima Yu, they really felt extremely gratified. Sima Yu had neither flaws nor hesitation. Their master was not beaten but actually planned everything out so well within such a short amount of time. Nobody ever knew that the master they thought nothing much of had actually was overflowing with such a vast amount of leadership abilities. Young master Chun Jian had been waiting outside the entire time. When she saw Sima Yu emerge, she went forward and asked, young master Chu and the others have come, and they have already been waiting for quite a while. Fatty and the others have come? Where are they? Sima Yu asked. They are waiting outside. Chun Jian said, we don't have that many houses now, so we could only let them wait outside. I got it. Sima Yu said, steward, you can carry on. Yes, this old servant will take his leave. The steward gave a bow as he turned around to leave. Chun Jian brought Sima Yu to the front. Seeing that quite a few people were standing there, she quickened her pace and walked forward. Yu, they turned around and saw her walking. When they heard the sound of her footsteps, Sima Yu saw the worry on the faces of Bei Gongtang and the others and smiled at them, saying, I'm so sorry that you don't even have a place to sit right now, Yu. We heard that you were going to leave the academy and came over to take a look, Bei Gongtang said. How's your body right now? That's right, I heard that quite a few of your bones were shattered. How are you now? Are you still hurting anywhere? Fatty Chu asked. Sima Yu shook her head, saying, how could it have been that serious? I merely fainted for a few days and healed by the time I woke up. Really? Wei Ziqi looked at Sima Yu as she moved her body, proving that she was completely fine. Only then did everyone relax. Let's continue this conversation somewhere else right now. The general's residence doesn't have any place that can properly entertain you, Sima Yu said. We can go to the tea house nearby. The 5 of them entered the tea house and looked for a private room. When they sent the tea, the shopkeeper took a few more glances at Sima Yu. Sima Yu picked up the teacup and said to Fatty Chu, Fatty, I offer this toast to you, to thank you for helping my clan in my time of need. Yu, I'm a bit unaccustomed to how formal you're being, Fatty Chu said as he scratched the back of his head. Sima Yu smiled as she downed the cup of tea. After that, she filled up another cup as she said to Wei Ziqi, the help received from the Beast Tamers Guild should be because you sought help from your granduncle, right? Thank you, Ziqi. Wei Ziqi smiled as he waved his hands, holding the teacup as he drank the cup of tea along with Sima Yu poured her 3rd cup of tea, saying, this cup of tea is to express my gratitude at your supply of pills during this season. Ouyang Fei and Bei Gongtang grasped the cups and drank the tea. Yu, I heard that the current situation of the Sima clan is not good. Do you have any plans? Fatty Chu asked. Of course I do, Sima Yu said. Those few people think it's so easy to take the opportunity to split up the Sima clan's property amongst themselves, although grandfather and the others are not around. I'm still here, and I won't let the Sima clan be any weaker than it was before. I will increase its influence even more. What do you plan to do? Wei Ziqi asked. Sima Yu smiled. I'll still need your help for this on the 2nd day. Sima Yu followed Wei Ziqi to the Beast Tamers Guild to meet the vice president of the guild. Granduncle Yu has come. Wei Ziqi brought Sima Yuyu to the living room as he said to the person on the opposite side. Sima Yuyu bowed her waist slightly as she said, "Greetings to the vice president." The vice president nodded, saying, "Fifth young master, take a seat." "Thank you, vice president. You can just call me Yuyu." Sima Yuyu and Wei Ziqi sat down as the servants immediately served tea. "Yuyu, Ziqi came to find me yesterday, saying that I definitely had to meet you. Is there something up?" The vice president asked. "It's like this. After I regained consciousness, I heard the steward tell me about the help the Beast Tamers Guild had accorded us. I heard that it was because they were following your orders, so I wanted to come and express my gratitude. Also, there are also a few things that I wish to discuss with Vice President. Although I did not interact much with your grandfather, I know that he was an upright man. Added on to that, the fact that you and Ziqi have such a good relationship, it's no big deal with me to help you," the vice president said. "As for the situation regarding your shop, you can send men to propose and firm up something. With regards to this, I need to discuss with the attendants. So I wanted to use Ziqi to come and look for you." Sima Yuyu said, "Vice president, am not here to seek assistance, but to form a partnership with the Beast Tamers Guild." "Partnership?" The vice president looked at Sima Yuyu and didn't know how he could possibly form a partnership with them. "The decisions made on behalf of the Beast Tamers Guild cannot be made by me alone. If you want to form a partnership with the Beast Tamers Guild, you need to take out something that will cause the heart of the guild to move. Since I've already come, it's natural that I've thought of this," Sima Yuyu said. "Then tell me, how do you plan to partner the Beast Tamers Guild?" The vice president asked. "The Sima clan needs a few spirit beasts that have already been tamed. I hope that Beast Tamer Master Guild will be able to supplement what we need for a while," Sima Yuyu said. "As for repayment, I'm willing to help the Beast Tamers Guild tame a number of saint beasts." "What did you say? You can tame saint beasts?" The vice president and Wei Ziqi were stunned and thought that they had heard something fantastical. Sima Yuyu nodded, saying, "That's right. I wonder whether or not the Beast Tamers Guild will be able to accept this condition in exchange." "Yuyu, you're a beast tamer master?" Wei Ziqi looked at Sima Yuyu. Even though he lived with her under the same roof every day, she gave him surprise after surprise. Sima Yuyu nodded. The gaze with which the vice president used to look at Sima Yuyu changed. He said, "You have tamed a saint beast before?" "Yup." "How high was its rank?" "Fourth rank." Wei Ziqi was looking at Sima Yuyu as if she was some kind of weird animal. Granduncle had told him before that talented individuals would have unusually good outcomes. However, up to now, he had not yet managed to tame a saint beast, while Sima Yuyu had actually tamed a fourth-ranked saint beast. Even his granduncle, as the vice president of the Beast Tamers Guild, who had lived a few hundred years, but even he could only tame sixth-ranked saint beast. Furthermore, her spiritual energy was higher than his and was even an alchemist. He massaged his forehead. Was this person really someone living together with him? No way. How is she human at all? She was clearly a perverse genius. Empty blustering, the vice president regained his calm as he said while looking at Sima Yuyu. "I can prove it," Sima Yuyu said. "If the guild has any untamed spirit beast, I can tame it on the spot. You can take it as a token of my sincerity for wanting to partner with you." "All right. A saint beast just came in 2 days ago. We were actually planning to tame it 2 days later, but we'll give it for you to try on now." The vice president grew some interest in this little lad and wanted to let him give it a try. When he thought of the spirit beasts that were just sent over, he wanted to see if he was really as good as he claimed and could tame a saint beast. Sima Yuyu smiled confidently. "Okay." Chapter 138. "Okay, if you are really able to tame a saint beast successfully, we will fully supply the Sima clan with spirit beasts during this period of time. We will even gift it for free," the vice president said. "If you are unable to tame the spirit beast, we of the Beast Tamers Guild will still help you. It's just that we will charge you at cost price." "Okay." Sima Yu nodded her head. "However, I just have a tiny request." "Say it." "I want a public beast taming." Sima Yu said, "Public beast taming?" "Right, it would be best if it were a place filled with people. Something like a public square would be perfect," Sima Yu replied. The vice president thought about it before understanding what Sima Yu planned to do. If he had managed to tame a saint beast in front of everyone, his standing in the Dongchang kingdom could rocket immediately. Everyone who was thinking of preying upon the Sima clan would naturally retreat. It would even allow him to rely on his own name, attracting a few spirit masters. "Okay. Then I'll get my men to go and settle it. We'll head to the public square at the capital in a moment to tame the spirit beast publicly." As those men went off to make the preparations, The vice president brought Sima Yu to take a look at the Saint Beast that just arrived. A second-ranked Earth Bear Beast was locked inside a cage. When it saw that someone had come, its eyes flashed with malice. Second-ranked Saint Beast? Sima Yu asked as she recognized the rank of the Earth Bear Beast with a single glance. The mental strength of this Earth Bear Beast is rather high. Although it's at second rank, it's not any easier than taming a third-ranked Saint Beast. The vice president said, Sima Yu looked at the Earth Bear Beast that was in the cage without a single care about the results. At this time, two little manservants entered and bowed in greeting to the vice president, saying, "Vice President, we are here to bring the spirit beast over." The vice president nodded, saying, "Go, be careful." Yes. The two of them walked over and picked up the cage and left. Although it was in its small form, the physique of this Earth Bear Beast was nothing to look down on. "We will head over as well." The vice president was the first to turn around and leave after he finished speaking. Sima Yu took a step forward, thinking to follow after him, but was pulled to a stop by Wei Ziqi. "What's up?" She looked at Wei Ziqi with confusion. Wei Ziqi pulled her closer, whispering, Yu, do you really know how to tame this Earth Bear Beast? This is a second-ranked Saint Beast, you know. If your taming is unsuccessful, you will receive severe backlash. You should relax. When have I ever done something that I was not assured of? Sima Yu smiled as she turned around and followed the vice president out the door. Wei Ziqi looked at Sima Yu's retreating back and sighed as he followed after her, although he knew that she was always confident and able to do the things that she said she could do. Wanting him to believe that she was a great beast tamer master was something that he could not do completely. When Sima Yu and the others arrived at the public plaza, she saw that there was a multitude of people all around. The plaza was so packed that not even a single drop of water could squeeze through. When they heard that someone was going to publicly tame a spirit beast, everyone ran over with extreme curiosity. Sure, Mo Li and Nalan Lan just happened to walk past the public plaza. When they heard that it was someone from the Beast Tamers Guild that was going to tame a spirit beast, they simultaneously came down from their horse carriage, coming to the center of the public plaza to see who it was that was doing things so extravagantly. "Make way," a guard opened the way for the vice president. And the others and everyone naturally opened a path when they saw that it was the people from the Beast Tamers Guild. Although this vice president rarely made an appearance, the people in the imperial capital still recognized him. Seeing that Sima Yu was following behind him, many were incomparably surprised with no idea what they were going to do. The vice president brought Sima Yu to the center of the public plaza where an earth beast bear was placed inside a cage. "How do you find this place?" Sima Yu took a look at the people around them. It wasn't bad. The influential powers had all come. Furthermore, the people from the Beast Tamers Guild worked extremely quickly. Not only did they manage to attract the sea of people, they even set up boundaries, keeping the rowdy people in the area outside. "Very good," Sima Yu said. "Then you can take note of the situation for a while before starting." The vice president said. "No need," Sima Yu said as she walked to the heart of the public plaza, sitting down in front of the cage. "Sima Yu? What is he doing, sitting in front of the outside of the cage? Didn't something happen to the Sima clan? How can he still be here, looking at what he's doing? Could it be that he wants to tame the beast? No way. Isn't he a waste? How could he be a beast tamer master? Did you just return from outside?" This Sima Yu had long stopped being a waste. He started cultivating 1 year ago and is already a second-ranked alchemist now. His talent is something we would never be able to catch up to in our whole lives. How could he still be a waste? What, he's an alchemist? A second-ranked one too? That's right, the last time, at the Emperor's Great Banquet, he even refined pills on the spot. This is something that everyone in the imperial capital knows. He's an alchemist, but why does it appear as if he's going to tame the spirit beast? Could it be that he's a beast tamer master? How could it be? It's already a marvel that he's an alchemist. How could he be a beast tamer master? If this was really the case, let's just find a place to bury ourselves. What's the point of staying alive? But it really does look like he's going to tame the beast. If he's really a beast tamer master and an alchemist, how powerful of a person would he be? Even if the Sima clan only has him as its owner, it would never fall. Did you guys notice or not? It looks like there's a saint-ranked beast inside the cage. What? Everyone's eyes locked onto the cage, and it truly was a saint beast. If he successfully tamed this beast, he would actually be a great beast tamer master. Nobody dared to continue that train of thought as they were afraid that they would no longer wish to live if that was really the case. Many people believed that Sima Yuyu was a beast tamer master, but of course there were also those who doubted. Sure, Emoli was one of those who doubted it, and she looked at Sima Yuyu, saying, Sima Yuyu, such a big event has befallen the Sima clan. What are you doing running out here instead of staying at home? Aren't you an alchemist? Why? Do you think you can manipulate it like your pill ingredients? Could it be you think that you are a beast tamer master? If I were you, I wouldn't stay here to throw my face away. Sima Yuyu glanced at Sima Yuyu, saying lightly, who decided that an alchemist couldn't become a beast tamer master. After speaking, she placed her hands into the cage. Many of them saw that she directly went over to touch the earth bear beast and were so afraid that they closed their eyes. It was as if this cage that contained spirit beasts limited their powers. Although its glare was fierce and malicious, it did not bite her hand. She placed her hand on the forehead of the earth bear and evoked her imperial beast art, starting the taming process. Bei Gong Tang, Ouyang Fei and Fatty Chu walked past, seeing Wei Ziqi standing in the center of the empty area. They managed to piece the situation together, seeing Sima Yuyu, who was currently taming the earth bear beast. Fatty Chu was so shocked that his mouth fell open immediately. Ziqi, what is Yuyu doing? Don't you tell me that she's beast taming? Fatty Chu asked as he walked beside Wei Ziqi. Don't you see everything for yourself? Wei Ziqi rolled his eyes at Fatty Chu. Bei Gong Tang took a look at the earth bear beast inside the cage and said, is that a saint beast inside that cage? It's even a second-ranked earth bear beast? What? When Fatty Chu heard it, he quickly stretched forth a hand to support his chin, afraid that it would drop off completely. Chapter 139. Ziqi, when did Sima Yuyu become a beast tamer master? Fatty Chu could not believe his eyes as he grabbed onto Wei Ziqi and asked directly. Wei Ziqi slapped off his hand, saying, you're asking me? But who do I ask? We should just keep quiet and watch. Bei Gong Tang said. Fatty Chu and the others quieted down as they watched Sima Yuyu engage the earth bear beast. The process of taming appeared as if the man and beast were standing there unmoving and in silence, and there was really nothing much to see. It was even a long process, despite this being the case. Even as Sima Yuyu continued the taming process from morning till the afternoon, nobody left. Everyone wanted to see if this ex-waste really became not only an alchemist but also a great beast tamer master. They wanted to see whether or not the beast taming would be successful. Wei Ziqi and the others from the Beast Tamer Master Guild already believed that Sima Yuyu was a beast tamer. If she wasn't, there's no way that she would have been able to persist with that earth bear beast for such a long time. It's going to be completed soon. The vice president's gaze towards Sima Yuyu was becoming brighter and brighter. Wei Ziqi and the others looked over at the earth bear beast and saw that the malice in its eyes were gone. It appeared similar to the spirit beasts one bought at the shop. After a few more moments, Sima Yuyu opened her eyes. It appeared that not much of her mental strength had been drained. Woo-woo. The earth bear beast lay on its belly in the cage as Sima Yuyu stepped forward and opened the cage. The earth bear beast did not even know it had already come out. When those on site saw that she had opened the cage, they were so shocked that they took a few steps back. However, seeing that the earth bear beast didn't emerge attacking people, they finally relaxed and continued to watch the excitement. The vice president walked forward and took a look at the earth bear beast, saying, the taming has truly been successful. I never thought that you would actually achieve this. It was even at least 3 times quicker than most beast tamer masters. Truly a difficult feat. Sima Yuyu smiled, saying, my methods of taming spirit beasts are a bit special. What? The vice president asked. Is the owner of the spirit beast here? If he is, you can let him form a contract with the beast right now. I believe that the result will definitely not disappoint you, Sima Yuyu said. The vice president gave a glance at a middle-aged male who was standing beside the plaza. The person understood and walked over. Actually, when he first heard that his spirit beast was going to be tamed by Sima Yuyu, he did not agree. However, this spirit beast had already been handed over to the Beast Tamer Master Guild, and the vice president had not said anything, so he could only stand at the side to watch on. He never thought that Sima Yuyu would actually be able to tame it successfully. He had already believed whatever she said and already looked forward to whatever unique trait her taming would have. The vice president said, "You've already heard what you said, so do you agree to form a contract with it here and now?" Okay. Sima Yu and the vice president retreated far back as that person came in front of the earth bear beast and placed his hand on its head, starting the contracting process very quickly. The contractual array on the public plaza took shape as man and beast stood inside. After the contracting process was done, that array took the form of two rays of light, each entering between the space between the eyebrows of the man and beast. There isn't anything unique though. The people were quite disappointed when they saw that there was nothing special about the contracting process. The master of the earth bear beast did not feel that anything was special, but just as he was going to open his mouth to ask, he suddenly felt that there was a movement in his inner energy as a lot of spirit power poured out from the contracted space. He quickly crossed his legs and sat down, beginning to direct the power in his body very quickly. The rays of light signifying an increase in rank shone down as man and beast were put together again. Heavens, they advanced in rank together. You can even advance in rank while forming a contract. What kind of taming method is this? Too strange. Those on site were as if struck by lightning as they turned towards Sima Yu, looking at her as if she were some sort of treasure. If the beasts that she tamed for contracts would allow one to increase in rank, wouldn't they be able to increase in rank if they went to her for forming contracts? The vice president had lived for many years, but it was the first time that he saw that one would be able to increase in rank after this kind of contract formation. It was no wonder that she had the capabilities to partner with the Beast Tamer Master Guild. Just as everyone was talking endlessly about this, the ray of light slowly dissipated. The master had advanced by 2 ranks while the spirit beast had advanced by 1. That person opened his eyes and looked excitedly at Sima Yu. He stood up and bowed to Sima Yu, saying, "Many thanks to 5th young master for helping me to contract my beast. If there is any time in the future where the general's residence needs my help, come and look for me. I will definitely not hide away, no problem." Sima Yu smiled as she waved her hands. "However, the general's residence is no more. There's only the Sima residence left. If it ever encounters any difficulty, I will definitely look for you for help. That Sima general has a grandson like you means the future will be peaceful and without peril. If there is nothing else, I will take my leave first." After he finished speaking, he bowed towards the vice president and Sima Yu before turning around to leave. He had just advanced in rank and needed to go back and consolidate his strength. Sima Yu saw the excited crowd and knew that she had achieved her objective. She said to the vice president, "Vice president, let's head back, okay?" The vice president nodded as he brought the men from the Beast Tamer Master Guild with him as he left, leaving behind only those who had to pack things up. All those who had gathered to watch the show had left. The crowd slowly dispersed. However, everyone was not about to forget what just happened, and were even spreading the news all around. They definitely had to tell everyone about such a unique event. Sure, Emily never thought that Sima Yu would actually be a Beast Tamer Master and even a great Beast Tamer Master. Thinking about how Sima Yu had already beaten her at alchemy, although she was still not reconciled, she could only leave resentfully. Nalan Lan was also stunned by the hand that Sima Yu had just played. Being brought up in a clan from a young age, she naturally knew what kind of outcomes would result from what Sima Yu had just done today. Thinking about how her clan still had plans to strike the Sima clan, she immediately got her men to return to report this situation to her father. When they returned to the Beast Tamers Guild, the look in the eyes of the people in the guild were no longer the same. Just the fact that she was a great Beast Tamer Master was enough reason for their admiration, but she was even a second-ranked alchemist. When she returned to the living room, the vice president got some men to take care of Sima Yu, Fatty Chu, and the others before leaving. For a moment, he had to report this situation to the president. He had initially planned only to simply help the Sima clan, but he never thought that Sima Yu would take out this huge bargaining chip to partner with them. According to his reasoning, he could give Sima Yu even more benefits. But he had to report to the president. Inside the living room, Fatty Chu and the others were still reeling from the effects of whatever happened and had yet to regain their senses. The look in their eyes slowly changed as they looked at Sima Yu as if they were looking at a strange beast. Even Bei Gongtang had never seen this kind of talent before, and her gaze was no different from Fatty Chu and the others. "Yu, how many more things are you keeping from us?" Fatty Chu lamented. Cough, cough. Sima Yu coughed twice as she thought about how she really had more than a few secrets. "Yu, when did you become a great Beast Tamer Master?" Ouyang Fei asked curiously. The last time, when we came back from the Pu Luo mountain range, didn't I leave for a while? That was when I went back to the mountain to contract some beasts. At that time, I knew that something might happen to the Sima clan and wanted to increase our strength a little bit. I never thought that it would be completely useless in front of those people. What you're saying is that you became a great beast tamer master within those 10 days. Fatty Chu called out in surprise. Chapter 140. Every time that he thought he had recovered from the shock that Sima Yu gave him, she would harshly give him another shock. Actually, it's really nothing much. Alchemy and beast taming are reliant on mental strength, and for some reasons. My mental strength is a bit stronger than the average person, Sima Yu said, inhuman. Fatty Chu spat out after quite a long time had passed. Agreed. Ouyang Fei nodded. Correct. Bei Gongtang added on. I'm just thinking whether or not I should open Sima Yu's brain and take a look inside to see what it's made of. The ever-cultured and refined Wei Ziqi was so hurt by this that his intrepid nature was leaking out. Sima Yu looked speechlessly at the few of them. She knew that this was a bit perverse, however, they didn't have to be shocked to this extent. It just happened that the president and vice president of the Beast Tamers Guild came in, cutting short their conversation. President, granduncle, Wei Ziqi stood up and bowed towards the two of them, also indicating to Sima Yu the identities of the people that just entered. Sima Yu also bowed towards them and the president waved his hands, allowing everyone to sit. When he arrived at the master's seat, the president became to size Sima Yu up. Sima Yu calmly met the gaze of the president while he was sizing her up. She was doing the same back to him. Highly capable, this was the first impression that he had of the youth before him. Confidence, that was the first impression she had of him. Fifth young master. I've already heard about what you did today. I was really immeasurably surprised by the fact that someone as young as you are a great beast tamer master. The president touched his little beard, saying, I wonder where fifth young master hailed his master from. My master has always lived in seclusion in the mountains. His life is low profile and does not like the turmoil of the outside world, so he does not wish for me to speak of him. I seek the president's forgiveness. Sima Yu casually lied. She had no master. So how is she going to find one? If you really wanted to talk about it, Mo Sha was the one who was guiding her through the beast taming process. Imperial Beast Arts was also a book he gave her. So if you really wanted to talk about it, he was considered half her master. However, his existence was definitely a secret and there was no way for her to talk about it. The president nodded his head. He knew that people like him had their own preferences. Some of them were flamboyant, some enjoyed laying low. Since she was unwilling to explain further, it would be best if he didn't pester her. You said that you wanted to partner with the Beast Tamers Guild? Sima Yu nodded, saying, that's right, President should know about what happened to my Sima clan. Our current circumstances are not great and quite a few powers, being aware that my grandfather and the others are no longer around, want to take over my Sima clan. As a result, I want to partner with the Beast Tamers Guild. You just have to supply us with spirit beasts for a period of time. As repayment, I will tame a set of saint beasts for the Beast Tamers Guild. She once heard Wei Ziqi say that the number of people who could tame saint beasts were few and they also took a long time to recover. As a result, she believed that this point of hers would be quite enticing to the Beast Tamer Master Guild. We can do without taming so many saint beasts. The president said, I wish for you to enter our Beast Tamers Guild. When the time comes, the Beast Tamers Guild can provide whatever spirit beasts you need for free. Enter the guild? Sima Yu was quite surprised as this was not within her plans at all. She didn't want to be restricted either. That's right, you can become an elder in our guild. You usually don't have to do anything except that as and when. You can help the Beast Tamers Guild tame a few beasts and appear when the guild is in danger. That's all, the president said, but I currently have no plans to enter any organization. You should know as well that I will leave the Dongchen Kingdom in 2 years. This makes it hard for me to join you. Sima Yu rejected. When Wei Ziqi heard what Sima Yu said, he was quite anxious for her. This position of an elder was not something just anyone could obtain. Don't be in a rush to reject the position just yet. The president waved his hands, saying, I naturally know about the issue of you leaving, but you're still here right now. Furthermore, with you joining the Beast Tamers Guild, as long as you don't do something that will let the guild down, you will always remain as an elder of the guild. At that time, when you leave Dongchen Kingdom, the Sima clan will need a power to support it. Am I right? Sima Yu thought it over and the president was right. She was going to leave very soon. When the time came, it was possible that the Sima clan's foundation would not be stable yet and needed a strong power backing it. Furthermore, The Beast Tamers Guild was agreeing with these kind of conditions. The people in the house all kept quiet, giving her time to think it over since this was a rather weighty decision. After some time had passed, Sima Yu nodded, saying, "Okay, I promise to join." The Beast Tamers Guild, the people in the house all smiled and the president nodded his head. He took out a jade nameplate from his interspatial ring and said, "This is a nameplate representing your identity as an elder of the Beast Tamers Guild. Take it." Sima Yu stood up and stepped forward, using both hands to receive the jade nameplate. "All right, you will be the 9th elder from now on," the president said as he smiled. "Just like this?" Sima Yu blurted, "A power as great as this had increased in its number of elders, wouldn't it need some kind of ceremony?" Seeing the confusion in her eyes, the president smiled wordlessly. The vice president, who was beside them, said, "We know you don't like these kind of things, so we decided to do away with them when the time comes. We just have to announce to everyone that you are our elder and that will be enough. Many thanks to the president and vice president." Sima Yu kept the nameplate into her interspatial ring and turned around to return to her own seat. "With regards to the spirit beasts, when the time comes, well, just get the guilds in charge to settle it. He will arrange everything for you." The president said, "Many thanks to the president." Ever since they came back from the Beast Tamers Guild, Sima Yu still felt extremely mystified. She had actually become an elder of the Beast Tamers Guild. You don't know this? But for the average person who wants to become an elder, they first have to go through many layers of tests and selections. Even after they have been confirmed, they have to go through 3 rounds of ceremonies. It's extremely troublesome, Wei Ziqi explained. "I think that you're the only one who would be able to receive this kind of special treatment. Hey, it's best not to have it." Sima Yu said, "I have to thank you for today. If it wasn't for you, just trying to meet the president would have given me enough headaches." Sima Yu said, "What are you being so formal for?" Wei Ziqi smiled. "That's right, the 4 of us will return to the academy first. If you need anything, just get some men to look for us. I will." After separating from them, she returned back to the Sima residence. From today onwards, her name would have already been spread far and wide very quickly. So with the news of her becoming an elder of the Beast Tamers Guild, the problem of supplying spirit beasts should also have been settled. What she had to do now was to go back to discuss with the steward on their next course of action. She was still used to walking out the main entrance of the past route. It was only when she looked back that she realized the large gate was no longer there. She lingered in front of the place where the large gate used to be, thinking of how the general's residence had been here for a long time. She felt her heart ache. "Grandfather, brothers wait for you. I will definitely save you." Chapter 141. Young Master. The steward just happened to come back and walked over when he saw Sima Yu standing there in a daze. Sima Yu turned around and looked at the steward, saying, "How are things?" "Chu clan has already confirmed that they will work with us. We still have some matters to discuss and sort out," the steward said. Today, Sima Yu went to the Beast Tamers Guild while he went to the Chu clan to look for Fatty Chu and his father to discuss matters regarding the supply of goods. "Young master, how are things going on your end?" "Relatively smooth," Sima Yu said. "We can continue when we go back." When they returned to the temporary conference hall, Sima Yu gave a once-over on the events that happened that day. When he heard that Sima Yu had not only spoken with the Beast Tamers Guild successfully but even became an elder of the guild, he was incomparably happy. "Now that your name has already pretty much been spread, we can now begin to recruit men." Sima Yu said, "We are in urgent need of people right now, so we can be slightly more relaxed with our requirements. As long as they are strong enough and their personality isn't too bad, they will do. Furthermore, they have to commit to being part of Sima clan's strength for 10 years. They can obtain their salary from the Sima residence. After 10 years, it will be up to them to decide whether to stay or go." "Young master, why did you set it at 10 years? The steward could not understand. "There are some spirit masters who do not like to be restricted. If we force them to lend us their power forever, they would not agree. If it's only a span of 10 years, they will take this as a simple transaction," Sima Yu said. "Furthermore, 10 years is enough time for us to slowly develop our power. So this is the case. It's truly young master who has thought everything through," the steward said as he nodded. "With regards to our standard for recruitment, they have to at least be the rank of a great spirit master, and it has to be based on strength. They will be able to obtain different ranks of spirit beasts, and it will also be ones that I have tamed myself. I will also add in some pills as a bonus," Sima Yu added. "Furthermore, joining the Sima clan will entitle them to the same benefits that we and our guards enjoy. What do you think?" "Good. It is only with good benefits that we will be able to entice them to stay," the steward replied. Since you've agreed as well, we should find someone to do up an announcement, Sima Yu said. Other than the construction of the Sima residence, get the other to work faster. We can't remain without a home forever if this carries on. We won't be able to attract talent. Yes, young master, you should go down and settle the details. When the hired help find them, well, send men to capture some spirit beasts. We can't rely on the beast tamer master guild forever, Sima Yu said. All right, then. This old servant will go and get it arranged. The steward bowed slightly as he prepared to leave. Sima Yu saw that the steward had actually just returned and had not yet even drunk a single drop of water before wanting to rush off and said, "It's a pretty unusual period of time, it'll have to trouble you." The steward shook his head. Being able to toil for the Sima clan is this old slave's blessing. Thank you, Uncle Fu. The steward smiled as he left. He raised his head and looked towards the direction that Sima Lai had left in, saying, "Oh General, the young master has really matured." Sima Yu left the conference hall and looked at the people bustling to construct the Sima residence, heaving a long sigh. Seeing the book pavilion that was completely intact, she thought about the suspicions that she harbored earlier and slowly walked over. Standing in front of the book pavilion, she thought of the first time that she had brought herself here. With a single thought, a key appeared inside her hand. Gotcha. She placed the key into the lock. The door opened with a click. She pushed the door open and entered. Even before she took a few steps, the door closed behind her. She walked a few rounds around the library, exploring the different levels. She didn't find anything unusual about it. It's just that there was a single box on the top of the highest level. She took the box and opened it. She saw a small and delicate little matrix of the book pavilion. I didn't see this the last time I came here. Could it be that grandfather placed this here much later? She took the book pavilion and studied it intently for a while. She noticed that there was a small groove under it, but she had no idea what it was for. She placed the little pagoda back and sat on the chair, staring blankly. Grandfather, brothers in the past? She always had her family to accompany her when she went home. Now that she was the only one supporting the family, she realized how blessed she really was. Thinking of the ring that the old principal had given her, she took it out from her interspatial ring. In the past, because she was feeling too much inner turmoil, she did not realize that this was the ring that he had always worn. The initial imprint of mental strength had already been erased, and this ring was currently without an owner. Grandfather, she inserted her mental strength into it, seeing the store that Sima Lai had always used. She realized that although he was a spirit saint as well as the general of Dongqing Kingdom, he did not possess many valuable things. Actually, Sima Lai's things were considered quite luxurious in the Dongqing Kingdom. It was just that she had seen too many good things in her spirit. Pearl that she felt that Sima Lai was pitiful. She swept her eyes over the interspatial ring once, and in some lone corner, she saw a book as well as a sound stone. She took out the sound stone and inserted a bit of her spirit power in. The veins on it began to move as Sima Lai's voice transmitted out. "You, if you are listening to this, then I must no longer be inside the Dongqing Kingdom." Sima Lai's voice sounded aged as solemnity could be heard from his tone. "There's something that I never told you. You are actually not directly related to the Sima clan. Do you remember that I told you before? At that time we were, as a family, escaping from Sophia mountain range when everyone else had died. At the end, we were saved by someone and brought to the Sophia mountain range. That person was your father. I initially thought that we would never see him again, but I never thought that 10 years later he would reappear in front of us, holding you in his embrace. When he entrusted you to me, just as he was about to leave, he told me that if a day came where you had achieved success, rely on the jade nameplate in the ring and go to the primordial lands to look for him." Sima Yu swept through the inside of the interspatial ring again and realized that there was jade nameplate all on its own. She took it out and realized that its makeup was exactly as the same one that Feng Zhixing had given her. Grandfather has been having a kind of premonition in his heart. I initially wanted to let you all leave tomorrow morning, but I don't know if I will make it in time or not. If anything happens, I hand the Sima clan over to you. The steward will likely help you settle things. If you cannot sustain it, then let it go. This book pavilion is a spirit artifact that I unwittingly received once, but I never knew what use it had. I only know that it functions as a book pavilion. I now hand it over to you. Perhaps you could unravel the mystery behind it. There is a key inside the ring. Once you see it, you should understand you. No matter what, you have to live life happily. This is the greatest wish of your brothers and I believe that it is also the wish of your birth father." When the recording reached its end, Sima Yu looked at the sound stone as her eyes filled with tears. She could feel the warmth of Sima Lai's love towards her. She could feel his worry and his hope for a peaceful future. She kept the sound tone away and declared, "Grandfather, rest assured, we will definitely be reunited. I will definitely go and save you." Chapter 142. She took a box out from her interspatial ring, and that box contained a box that looked like a little pagoda. She recognized it at a glance. She opened the box, and inside it was a tiny metal sheet. When she saw that metal sheet, she immediately thought of the little groove at the base of the little pagoda. She picked up the little pagoda and poured it out, placing the metal plate on top. Appraising it, she realized that every single part of it was exactly the same. Because she did not know what the metal plate was useful for, she did not hastily return the metal plate but picked up the little pagoda to examine. "This is a 7-layered pagoda." Mo Sha's voice was heard and his silhouette slowly emerged from the long chain bracelet. "7-layered pagoda? What's that?" Sima Yu asked. A 7-layered pagoda used to be an extremely useful weapon. Later on, when the Almighty died, it would be completely useless. They say that the 7-layered pagoda has 7 levels. Each layer has its own uses. However, very few people even know about its existence, and even less of them know that each layer has its own use. Mo Sha swept a glance over the book pavilion, saying, "I think the first layer should be for storage." "Oh," Sima Yu replied coldly, looking at Mo Sha, asking, "Why didn't you come out that day?" Mo Sha knew that she was talking about the day that Sima Lai had been taken away and knew that she was blaming him somewhat. However, he had no plans to explain himself. He only replied in a straightforward manner. "You want to let others know that you have a connection with people from the Devil Clan? Or are you saying that the Sima clan has dealings with those from the Devil Clan?" It was just a quick retort, but it made Sima Yu swallow every single word she wanted to say. He was right. If he had come out at that time, the Sima clan would never be able to establish itself in the Dongqin kingdom. "I understand, sorry. I shouldn't have blamed you," Sima Yu said. "You actually know it yourself, that making them leave this place is not a method that solves the problem." It could be that he felt the pain in her heart, that he actually comforted her. He thought of how he had never consoled a single person before in his life. It was already considered great if he didn't kill anyone. It was all because of this contract that he was feeling a weird kind of moodiness towards her. Sima Yu thought it over. It was just as he said. She knew as well that letting them stay behind was only a temporary solution. Once Sima Lin and the others returned, they would naturally send even more men to take them back. At that time, the outcome would still be the same. Furthermore, the battle would implicate even more people. The best solution was to clearly explain the situation that happened that year. At that time, Sima Lai and the others would be able to live their lives openly without hiding. Didn't you already properly decide to rescue them in 3 years? Since that is the case, if you have time to spend moping around here, why not make full use of the time to increase your own strength? Mo Sha said. "I understand," Sima Yu said. She knew that this was not the time for her to wallow in sadness and spat out a mouthful of negative qi. She focused her attention once again to the little pagoda in front of her. "Grandfather said that he didn't know what this pagoda was good for. Do you know?" "I know." Mo Sha had yet to speak before Little Spirit's voice was heard. Sima Yu brought Mo Sha with her as she entered the Spirit Pearl. Seeing Little Spirit and Ling Long together, she asked, "Do you know how this is used?" "Heard about it," Little Spirit said. "This pagoda was a spirit artifact a long time ago. Although it's not as great as I am, but its rank is not low either." Little Spirit didn't forget to praise himself even as he spoke about others. "So what use does this have?" Sima Yu asked. "No matter what method we use, this no longer has any use," Little Spirit said. "Why?" "Because spirit of the artifact is already dead and gone," Little Spirit said. "See how that little pagoda no longer has any light? It's a sign that the artifact spirit is no longer around. The artifact spirit can actually die." Sima Yu stared at Little Spirit. "Then how come you've lived for hundreds and thousands of years, but you haven't died yet? Most artifact spirits won't die. But the artifact spirit of this 7-layered pagoda is very special." Little Spirit said, "I heard them say before that this 7-layered pagoda is something that the owner personally refined. When he was refining it, he poured his own soul into it. After that, when he died, that portion of the soul had gotten too old and slowly disappeared. That 7-layered pagoda is not like me either. I can nurture souls. Then doesn't that mean it's useless now?" Sima Yu asked. "That's pretty much what I mean," Little Spirit said. "Anyway, the storage function of the first layer is still usable. It's just that the top few levels can't be opened. There's no other way? Sima Yu was a bit disappointed. This was something left behind from the ancient times. This was definitely awesome. No way, Little Spirit shook his head straightforwardly. Just take it as some storage space. Sima Yu knocked Little Spirit's head, saying, with a limitless storage space like you, what would I need any storage weapon for? That's true too. Then just throw it away. Little Spirit said. Sima Yu knocked his head again. Even if this item was not usable, it was still useful as a book pavilion. Sigh. Such a pity. Who knows? The few levels above could be holding some treasures. Sima Yu said. Actually, it's not that there's no way, Mo Sha said. You know? Sima Yu's initially downcast eyes immediately shone with light, as the gaze she used to look at Mo Sha changed instantly. I'm not sure myself whether or not it's possible, Mo Sha said. Since this is something from the ancient times, I'm guessing that it should be able to fuse with the Spirit Pearl fuse. Sima Yu and Little Spirit cried out at the same time. Mo Sha nodded, saying the artifact spirit of the 7-layered pagoda disappeared. That's why it can't be used. If it fused with the Spirit Pearl, it would gain a new spirit and we should then be able to open the few levels on top. However, don't we need an armament master in order to refine it? Sima Yu said. Where am I going to find an armament master? Furthermore, it has to be under circumstances where the secret is kept. That makes it even more impossible. Have you forgotten who it was that refined your bracelet? Mo Sha asked. Sima Yu thought of the bracelet on her wrist, saying, You're saying that you are an armament master? I know how to refine, Mo Sha said. How many ranks? It's irrelevant to this. In any case, I can fuse the 7-layered pagoda with the Spirit Pearl, Mo Sha said. This again. Sima Yu glanced at him. In the past, he acted the same way when she asked him about his rank at alchemy. He was acting like this again. He really would die if he didn't act cool. The what should we do now? Sima Yu asked. You wouldn't understand even if I explained. Sima Yu glared at Mo Sha wordlessly. Was there anyone who would look down on her like this? This guy, he knew beast taming and alchemy, and was even a highly ranked armament master. Others felt that she was a perverse genius. But why did she feel as if this guy was the real deal? Fine, if you don't want to say it then forget it. Sima Yu spoke before looking at Mo Sha extremely seriously, asking, if the 7-layered pagoda were to fuse with the Spirit Pearl, will Little Spirit disappear? What if he will? If he will, then I'm definitely going to give it up. When Little Spirit, who was standing just beside Sima Yu, heard what she said, it was as if his entire body was struck by lightning. Chapter 143. Little Spirit and Mo Sha knew that Sima Yu liked treasures and could feel her interest towards the 7-layered pagoda. However, they never thought that she would actually let it go just to protect Little Spirit. Why? Mo Sha looked at her with some confusion. Even if Little Spirit disappears, he would have turned into a new weapon and it would not affect the current powers of the Spirit Pearl. That's not the same. Sima Yu hugged Little Spirit, saying, Little Spirit and I have been living together for such a long time that I've already taken him to be a part of my life. Even if, after fusion, there was going to be another Little Spirit, it wouldn't be the current him. However, after fusion, it might increase the capability of the Spirit Pearl, Mo Sha said. Furthermore, you would be able to gain a treasure like the 7-layered pagoda. Aren't you extremely curious towards the top few levels? Right, I am very curious. However, I really care about the people by my side. Sima Yu said. Even if I didn't want that thing, I would want Little Spirit to live well. No regrets? Mo Sha asked. No regrets. Little Spirit is already very heaven-defying right now. It's fine even if he doesn't become more powerful. Sima Yu kissed Little Spirit on the cheek before turning to Mo Sha, saying, similarly, if I had to use you in order to exchange for someone, I would never agree. It's not because you're powerful or knowledgeable, but because you are a person by my side. This was the first time that Sima Yu had given Little Spirit a kiss on the cheek without him stretching a hand forth to wipe off the saliva on his face. He buried his face in Sima Yu's embrace, feeling a warmth arise in his heart. Even though his previous owners really liked him, he did not care about him that much. He just used him as another weapon. He wasn't seen as a person with a life. It was no wonder that Ling Long has chosen. It wasn't because of any future achievements, but because she was someone who was very sincere. Mo Sha looked down slowly, closing his eyes to hide his moodiness. Was there anyone who had ever cared about him like this before? Never. Those people only cared about sticking to him. If it wasn't to worship him, it was to take revenge against him. There was never anyone who would say these kind of things to him, that he was who he was, a person by her side, and that alone was reason enough for her to care for him. Sima Yu released little spirit and picked up the little pagoda for a look. She said with some disappointment, since you can't be opened, let's just leave you inside the book pavilion, then you can Sha. Said suddenly this really is the only way. Sima Yu added on to what Sha said. I'm saying you can fuse them without changing the weapon. Sha said. I know, you said you can fuse them? Sima Yu finally reacted as she turned her head to look at Sha with sparkling eyes. Sha nodded, saying, you can, but it will just take a very long time. Really? Haha. It's okay even if you take a long time. Sima Yu laughed twice loudly. As long as you are able to fuse them without hurting little spirit, it doesn't matter how long you take. Seeing the smile on her face, Sha felt that he was no longer the same person that he used to be in the past. He never cared about what another person thought, would never think of doing this, never bothered about whether or not other people were happy. Sima Yu stepped forward and wanted to pat him on the back, but her hands directly passed through his body. Cough, cough. In my excitement, I forgot that you had no physical body. Sima Yu withdrew her hand and said, since this is possible, what do you need to prepare? What do you need me to do? You have no use whatsoever. What would I need you to do? Sha said, I will arrange everything. You just have to abstain from using the spirit pearl during this period of time. That's all. Sima Yu's initially excited heart was unable to combat the wave of hatred she felt towards Sha. Did he have to be so condescending? Then I will go out and pack up the entire book pavilion. I'll hand it to you later, Sima Yu said as she went outside. She placed the entire interior of the book pavilion into the interspatial ring before taking out 2 boxes and left the book pavilion. After exiting the main gate, she realized that the sky had already darkened. She turned around and took a look at the book pavilion before indifferently saying goodbye. After that, she placed the 2 boxes into the spirit pearl. She did not know what Sha was doing, but the book pavilion suddenly moved before slowly fading away. After that, it finally disappeared out of sight. Sima Yu was shocked by the suddenly activity. It was a good thing that it was night time right now. If it happened in the morning, people would have seen a house suddenly disappeared. It would have stirred up some storms. If they only realized it going missing the next day, she could still say that it was kept away in the night. When she went back to the house, Sima Yu called out Little Roar, Sha, Guang, and Ling Long. After that, she took out a few more things like medicine and pills that she had refined before she took out that spirit pearl, which was like the standard item for her, handing it over to Sha. You definitely cannot harm little spirit, Sima Yu warned once again. Sha didn't say anything. He merely glanced coolly at Sima Yu and took the spirit pearl. He took the little pagoda before returning to the bracelet. Sima Yu waited until he entered before remembering that she forgot to ask him exactly how long he would need. If it was something that needed 10 years to complete, would she not be unable to use the things in the spirit pearl for those 10 years? However, thinking about how she had forgotten to ask and that it wasn't even a given that Sha would tell her, he was being so spiteful and would probably ignore her too, so she thought about it for a moment before deciding to forget it in the end. Guang and Little Roar, for the rest of this time, you can only remain in my contracted space, Sima Yu said. All right, Master, Guang agreed readily. Little Roar came in front of Sima Yu, saying, Yu, why don't I just remain outside? It's too boring inside the contracted space. There's no meaning for me to stay inside. Not possible. Sima Yu kept Little Roar inside the contracted space first before Guang obediently went in himself. Ling Long, you can stay in the interspatial ring for a period of time, Sima Yu said as she kept Ling Long into her interspatial ring. Seeing Little Rock's bitter eyes, Sima Yu helplessly said, you have no contracted space, so you can only remain outside. However, you can't reveal your strength to anyone, understand? Little Rock nodded his head as he flew to the roof of the house. After settling these things, the steward rushed over. Once he found her, he said, Young master, something has happened. What's wrong? Sima Yu quickly opened the door and asked the moment she heard that something had happened. Young master, the book pavilion has suddenly disappeared. The steward anxiously reported. When Sima Yu heard that it was merely this, she relaxed, saying, no problem with that, it was me, huh? The steward is stunned. That was an artifact that grandfather had left to me, so I merely kept it away. Sima Yuyu said, let men build a new book pavilion while they're constructing the houses, although the steward did not really understand. Since she said that there was no problem, he decided not to worry about it anymore. Once the steward had left, Sima Yuyu opened the door, thinking about how Sima Lai had said through the soundstone that there was the presence of a book that she had not yet read. She decided not to cultivate and picked up the book, Raging Inferno Blow. What kind of book is this? Sima Yuyu saw the words written on the front. She did not know why Sima Lai had placed the book and soundstone together. She suddenly thought of the time where Sima Lai had used the great Raging Inferno blade during his battle with Sima Kai. Could it be that he learned it from this book? Chapter 144. Sima Yuyu opened the book titled Raging Inferno Blade. She saw that the title was Black-Leveled Spirit Skill, and it wrote that anything other than a Spirit King would not be able to learn it. It's actually a Black-Leveled Spirit Skill. Sima Yuyu called out with surprise, however, I have to reach the rank of Spirit King in order to be able to cultivate it. Right now, I am only able to read it. I never thought that grandfather would actually be in possession of a Black-Leveled Spirit Skill. No wonder his strength is so great. When a Spirit Lord first began, he could only depend on absorbing and condensing spiritual chi as a method of comparison. Right now, all they were able to do was to condense tiny little spheres or drops of whatever. If one wanted to increase in strength, they had to use a spirit skill. Feng Zhixing had taught them before that spirit skills had 4 different ranks: sky, earth, black, and yellow. Each one was further divided into subcategories: low, middle, and high. At each rank increase, the strength of the spirit skill would be as different as heaven and the earth. So, when a spirit lord managed to become a great spirit master, he would be able to begin cultivating spirit skills. The high the rank of a spirit skill, the greater the level of difficulty. Right now, the ones on the main continent were yellow ranked, while the highly ranked yellow ranked skills were rare, of course. Feng Zhixing had put it across according to the terms of the Dongqin Kingdom. If it were according to the standard of the place he came from, a yellow-ranked skill was not worth anything. Most great spirit masters are able to cultivate spirit skills, so I never thought that this would actually require one to be a spirit king in order to learn it. Looks like the amount of spirit power needed to cultivate this is relatively high. Its power should consequently be relatively more powerful. I'll wait until I reach the rank of spirit king before trying it out. Sima Yuyu placed the Raging Inferno blade back and began to cultivate. Too many things had been happening lately, although Little Spirit had been helping her take the initiative to cultivate to avoid dragging her down in terms of speed. She didn't have much improvements. If she wanted to rescue Sima Lai and the others, she would need to be strong enough. She also needed to formulate a secret plan in order for it to succeed. That Sima Lin has not even reached Spirit Paragon, but his strength is incomparably strong. The Sima clan definitely has people who are stronger. Who knows, they may already be Spirit Paragons. If I want to rescue grandfather and the others, I must do my best to increase my own strength. She was only a 6th rank Spirit Lord and was slowly coming close to the borders of a 7th rank Spirit Lord. However, she had to first become a great Spirit Master, Spirit King, Spirit Overlord before she could become a Spirit Saint. There were those who spent their entire lives only to reach the level of Spirit Overlord. She had spent less than a year to reach a 6th ranked Spirit Lord and had 3 more years. Who knew what level she would attain? The time she spent cultivating passed by in a blink, and she spent 2 days cultivating just like that. Because a large portion of the plans had already been settled, nobody came to bother her these 2 days. After 2 days had passed, the general's residence released an announcement stating that they were urgently recruiting people. Some benefits of joining was that they would be able to receive a single beast that was personally tamed by Sima Yuyu and would even be able to receive an amount of pills that were useful for cultivation. After that, they would be able to receive the same amount of pay as the bodyguards. They were required to have ranks greater than Great Spirit Master and had to work for the Sima clan for 10 years. After 10 years, they could choose whether or not they wanted to stay. News of Sima Yu taming the spirit beast had already been spread across the entire imperial capital and to neighboring towns. Even those places that were relatively far away knew about this incident. Everyone was sighing about how she had become such a perverse genius and were extremely interested in the spirit beasts she tamed and thought it would be great if they could get their hands on one. Now that this announcement had been released by the Sima clan, The number of people who came to sign up was endless. The steward, who initially thought that not many people would sign up, found himself extremely busy on the first day. Nobody who was above the rank of Great Spirit Master was rejected on the second day. They began to become picky with their choices, and those whose strengths were too low or had bad character were directly eliminated very quickly. The number of people in the Sima clan doubled. The steward left behind a group of people to protect the general's residence and brought the rest to go and capture spirit beasts soon after. The supplies came in from the Chu clan along with the spirit beasts sent over from the Beast Tamer Master Guild. Adding this on to the popularity of Sima Yuyu's name, the initially dispirited aura of the Sima clan's shop experienced a continuous stream of customers. Those who initially thought of scheming against the Sima clan slowly suppressed these thoughts. Who would dare to move against the Sima clan right now? If they did, they had to first take a look at whether or not they had the ability to go against the Academy and Beast Tamer Master Guild. More than a few insiders sighed. They had never seen such a speed of expansion of growth. It was merely the time of 1 or 2 months, but it had developed so much. However, thinking about Sima Yuyu's perverse strength in alchemy and beast taming, having things turn out this way was still within reasonable limits. Furthermore, the Sima clan had, because of Sima Lai's identity, had some things that they were not really able to do. Now that they did not have such restrictions, they could take larger strides forward. The steward had initially thought to let the new recruits meet Sima Yuyu. However, seeing as how she was in closed-door cultivation, he gave up that idea. After a few more days had passed, Sima Yuyu felt that she was going to increase in rank soon. She, who had initially wanted to leave, decided to continue cultivating and rose to break through to the rank of 7th ranked Spirit Lord. 1 day later, after she had successfully increased in rank, Sima Yuyu opened her eyes. Seeing the stars that represented her power slowly fade away, she heaved a sigh and said, "My speed of rank increase is a bit slow. If I continue at this pace, how am I going to save grandfather and the others? Looks like I will have to think of another method to increase my strength." Because she had remained in this cultivating posture for a few days, her body felt a bit stiff. She got off the bed and moved around. When she opened the door, she got a huge shock. When she had first entered into closed-door cultivation, it was still a piece of flat land. How had it turned into a huge official residence overnight? "Young master, you've emerged from closed-door cultivation." Chun Jian and Yunyu were outside and smilingly approached her when they heard her voice. "Chun Jian, how long was I in closed-door cultivation?" Sima Yuyu was somewhat unable to believe her eyes. "Could it be that I was in closed-door cultivation for a long time?" "Young master, you have been away for 10 days, Chun Jian replied. "It's only been 10 days, but this house has already been fully constructed?" Sima Yuyu asked. Yunyu smiled, saying, "Young master, ever since you tamed the spirit beast publicly and became a beast tamer master, the number of people who came to help construct the general's residence has increased. As a result, the speed of construction was immediately increased. Even if this was the case, this was a bit too fast, wasn't it?" "Young master, your house has already been cleaned up. Would you like to take a look?" "Okay," Sima Yuyu nodded. The interim house had not been torn down because Sima Yuyu was inside in closed-door cultivation. However, the house in front of it had already been properly cleared. Sima Yuyu followed Chun Jian and Yunyu to her own house. Her house was currently the master's house because she was the only owner right now. The house was constructed extremely quickly, but it was not done sloppily at all. Sima Yuyu looked it over and saw that the construction was not bad. They could take their time constructing decorative things like the garden. Sima Yuyu looked it over and nodded her head satisfactorily. It only felt like a home when there were rooms. The steward heard that Sima Yuyu had emerged from closed-door cultivation and had come to report about the happenings that day. He heard that the Sima clan had gained in number in but a moment, and they had attracted more than a few spirit kings and spirit overlords. Even she was shocked at how things had turned out. It was only now that she had an estimate on how many spirit beasts she would need to tame in order to fulfill the demand. On the bright side, taming spirit beasts was just like cultivating. It was not too exhausting, but would still be able to make her stronger. As a result, she thought about it for a short while before forgetting about it. She even felt a little bit excited for the days to come. Chapter 145. Not long after she finished settling the situation involving the clan, Sima Yuyu went to the academy. She had not yet graduated, and the principal knowingly gave her a leave period from school. Seeing that the Sima clan was on the right track, she decided to return to her studies. Actually, there was not much that her current self could learn about here. However, she had no plans to quit halfway. She still had to spare a thought for the Sima clan, so she didn't have any plans to leave right now. When she returned to the dorm, Wei Ziqi and the others had all gone to class. The dorm was currently completely empty. She thought of how, the last time that she was here, she was still a carefree young master who did not have to care about anything. However, she was now the leader of a clan. It was likely that nobody had ever encountered a situation where a clan leader was still attending the academy. It was already afternoon by the time she finished packing up the house. She remembered that she had not eaten for a long time. She also wanted to thank everyone for the care and concern that they had shown her during this period of time, so she went to the kitchen to prepare some dishes. See, I told you. I knew that you had come back the moment I smelled the aroma. Fatty Chu was the first one to walk in after smelling the fragrant scent. His nose was the most sensitive towards food. A group of 4 entered the kitchen and naturally went to walk over to sit down and began eating when they saw Sima Yu sitting on the table waiting for them. Done settling your stuff? Wei Ziqi asked. It's already pretty much on track. The rest of the things can be settled slowly, Sima Yu said. The most pressing issue right now was the problem of having to tame 100 over spirit beasts. However, the spirit beasts had yet to be delivered, so Sima Yu was not too anxious about it. The speed of which your house was constructed was blinding. Not even a few days had passed, but I realized that your house had already finished construction yesterday. Fatty Chu placed a piece of meat into his mouth as he said, even I was given a fight, not to mention yourselves. Sima Yu said, I merely went into closed-door cultivation for a few days, but when I emerged, what was initially just a piece of flat land turned into an entire house. It was frightening. I had never known that houses could be constructed so quickly. I heard that a lot of people were working on it together. That's why it's so quick. Wei Ziqi said, this is good too. Since you've hired so many new people, you'll need a place to settle everything. Sima Yu nodded, asking, how have you guys been during this period of time? Things inside the academy are pretty much the same. It's just that whenever we walk around the academy now, we'll bump into a female student looking for us. It's hopelessly frustrating. Wei Ziqi said, why? Sima Yu blinked her eyes in confusion. Could it be that the springtime of your youth has come and girls are all confessing to you? The springtime of youth hasn't come for us, it's you who is experiencing it. Fatty Chu said, all those who came to look for us were actually looking for you. Every time they looked for us, it was to ask when you were going to return back to school, what kinds of things you liked, or what kind of girls were your type. Heavens, you're obviously a girl, so why is your luck with women so good? Sima Yu wordlessly looked on as Fatty Chu continued to complain. She never thought that she would become the most famous person in the academy. She used to be a famous person, but she was only famous for being a waste. Right now, she was famous for being a talent. You don't know what lengths those females go through. In order to get any news about you, they would be willing to do anything. Wei Ziqi sounded quite fearful as he said this. Yang Fei and Bei Gong are okay. One is an ice mountain while the other is a female. Others are not so daring as to go and approach them. However, Fatty Chu and I are in for it. We've already helped you collect a huge mountain of love letters. Do you want to read them or not? No way. Sima Yu quickly shook her head. There was no way she was going to read those nonsensical things. You don't have to bother yourself with those people, Bei Gongtang said. As long as you don't pay them any attention, they will not come and harass you. I know. Sima Yu said, right, are you planning on remaining in the academy? How are you going to manage the things at home? Fatty Chu asked. I have already handed things over to Uncle Fu, so he'll settle it. I just have to return home once every few days to take a look. If anything happens at home, I just have to apply for leave from school. They'll wait for this semester to be over before I end my studies here. You're going to end your studies? Sima Yu replied, 3 years' time, I have to go to other places in order to grow stronger. My strength increases so slowly inside the academy. Wei Ziqi and the others knew about her 3-year arrangement. So they knew about the amount of pressure she had on her shoulders. What are you going to do about the Sima clan's situation? Wei Ziqi asked. We'll be able to consolidate our power within a few months' time. When the time comes, I'll hand everything over to Uncle Fu and he'll settle it. When they need things, I'll get men over to send them over. Sima Yu said, where do you plan to go? Bei Gongtang asked. Sima Yu thought it over, saying probably to the Sophia mountain range. I'll go there to practice for a bit before heading there directly. Didn't you say that there's a barrier? How will you go out? Fatty Chu asked. Little Roar said that all those arrays and stuff would be useless. Sima Yu said, when the time comes, hell open the barrier. Ouyang Fei furrowed his eyebrows, saying, the spirit beasts in the Sophia mountain range are much higher than the ones in Pu Luo mountain range. Will it be too dangerous for you to go there? It is only through danger that one will grow the quickest. Sima Yu said, I will only be able to reach my potential and increase in strength if I encounter dangerous situations. All right then. You really will take a longer time to grow stronger if you stay inside the academy. It will be better for you to go outside. That's right. Sima Yu gave a thought and took out 4 jade bottles and passed it over to the 4 of them, saying, these are the things I promised you. Everyone took a jade bottle and opened it. They saw that there were 2 pills inside and asked, what pills are these? 100 Revolutions pill, Sima Yu answered. When Bei Gong Tang heard the name 100 Revolutions pill, her eyes shone as she asked, this is really the 100 Revolutions pill? Yes, Sima Yu said, I initially wanted to refine other types of pills, but the person who helped me to refine the pill said that this 100 Revolutions pill was a bit better, so he refined these instead. However, I've already taken a golden snake fruit. There shouldn't be a share for me, Bei Gongtang said. Don't be calculative. That golden snake fruit was given to Meng Ji. This 100 Revolutions pill is for you. I think that Zi Qi and the others wouldn't mind either. Also, you need this. Sima Yu said. Bei Gongtang looked at Sima Yu as her mouth slowly curved up into a smile, saying, thank you, Yu. It was rare for Wei Ziqi and the others to see Bei Gongtang so interested in any pills. So they were extremely curious towards this 100 Revolutions pill. Yu, what kind of pill is this 100 Revolutions pill? Fatty Chu took the pill and was about to stuff it into his mouth when Sima Yu pulled him to a stop, saying, you don't even know what it is, aren't you afraid it's poison? Hey, didn't you say that this would be able to make me stronger? Fatty Chu said. Sima Yu glared at Fatty Chu. This guy only cared about eating things and didn't care about what she said at all. Chapter 146. Fatty Chu saw that everyone was looking at him with a judging look and coughed twice, saying, didn't you say earlier that this would increase our strength? What, does it not? Sima Yu slapped Fatty Chu on the head, showing that she no longer wanted to continue the conversation. Bei Gong, you know about this 100 Revolutions pill? Ouyang Fei asked. Bei Gongtang said, I heard of others talk about it before, but I've never seen it. What kind of pill is this? Wei Ziqi asked. 100 Revolutions pill, it's called the cleansing marrow pill. When you hear this name, you will know what use it has. Bei Gongtang said. Cleansing marrow pill. Ouyang Fei and the others cried out simultaneously. They did not know what 100 Revolutions pill was, but the moment they heard the name cleansing marrow pill, they knew what it was used for, right? The function of this pill is to cleanse the meridians and change your physique, increasing the speed of your cultivation in the future. Sima Yu said, what in the world, Yu, where did you get thing kind of pill? Fatty Chu patted his chest as if he had been given the biggest shock ever. It just happened that that person knew the method of refining the pill and it happened to require the golden snake fruit. We thought that this pill would be better in terms of long-term benefits, so we decided on refining this, Sima Yu explained. However, I don't know what its effects are and I haven't eaten it before, so you all can tell me how it goes after you've used it. Actually, this is also able to increase one's strength, Bei Gongtang said. This can be used to increase one's strength as well? He didn't tell me that. Sima Yu cried out with surprise. It could be that the person felt that increasing one's strength was incomparable to the long-term benefits that it held, Bei Gongtang said. When it's purging the body of impurities, one's strength will be increased in the meantime. I've seen someone use this before, that's why I know a bit about it. However, that person only ate one. Bei Gongtang's facial expression was not too great as she was explaining this. It was probably because her relationship with the person who ate this pill was not that great. That person said that one person could only eat 2 pills at most and it would be useless to eat more. That's why I prepared 2 pills for each of you, Sima Yu explained. You all can find your own time to use them. Yu, do you not have any? Wei Ziqi asked. This pill is useless to me. Sima Yu said, because of a few things that happened, my body has already been reforged. Even if it ate this, it would have no effect. Why don't you all just use it together? I can help watch over you all. Then let's do it tonight, Ouyang Fei said. He really wanted to know how they would turn out after their marrows had been cleansed. Bei Gongtang and the other nodded, agreeing with Ouyang Fei's suggestion. They were also extremely curious about the 100 Revolutions pill. The process will be a bit painful, but you definitely cannot lose consciousness or else it will affect the result of the pill, Bei Gongtang notified them. She remembered the time where those few people had given the only 100 revolutions pill to that woman to eat. But she could not stand it and fainted. Later on, she heard the people of the clan say that her outcome was not as good as it could have been. We will. Fatty Chu nodded as he said. As a result, once nighttime came, Wei Ziqi and the others returned to their rooms to cultivate, letting their mental states reach their full potential. When night came and everything was silent, the few of them simultaneously closed their eyes. The four of them opened the door, making sure that everything was properly prepared. They waved to Sima Yu, who was in the room, before returning back. This night, they would only need to eat a single 100 revolutions pill. However, it was said that the outcome would differ according to the level of talent of different people. The time they would take would also vary. Sima Yu waited inside the room. When she failed to hear any cries of anguish, she had no idea how things were progressing for them after a long time. Fatty Chu was the first one to run out of the room, dashing towards the toilet. Subsequently, Wei Ziqi ran out, followed by Ouyang Fei and Bei Gongtang. Sima Yu watched as the four of them charged towards the toilet and back to their own rooms, to the toilet, then the rooms, then to the toilets. Each of them made the trips at least 7 or 8 times. It's not like Mo Sha put some kind of laxative in there. Why do they keep having the runs? Sima Yu teased as she sat happily in her room watching them run. However, she lost all joy later on because the smell wafting off each person was extremely smelly. She would smell it every single time they passed her by. Can't stand it. Little Rock, who was perched on her shoulder, gave a cry as he flapped his wings and flew to the roof. Sima Yu also moved her seat farther away. That smell was really too putrid. The interval between the times they had run to the toilet started to grow longer. The four of them continued to run back and forth until the later half of the night. After that, the rays of light symbolizing an increase in rank started to shine from their rooms. 3 times, 2 times, 3 times, everyone increased by 3 ranks, except for Fatty Chu, who increased by 2. However, that's not bad either. Sima Yu counted the number of times that each of them had increased in rank and realized that everyone was a genius and increased greatly in rank. Fatty Chu was the first to walk out of his room at the first break of dawn. Ha ha ha, I increased by 2 whole ranks, did you see? When he saw Sima Yu, Fatty Chu ran over emotionally and stretched out his hands in order to hug her, but was kicked outside immediately. Sima Yu pinched her nose, saying, I saw that you increased 2 ranks before you become too excited. Please clean yourself up. Fatty Chu lowered his head and looked at himself. He realized that he was covered in some filthy, pitch-black discharge. He was even giving off a putrid smell. It was only now that he recovered his senses after being excited from his rank advancement and rushed off to take a shower. After this, Wei Ziqi came out as well. However, he did not run over and headed straight for the shower. Ouyang Fei was next, and he also headed towards the direction of the shower. However, one form only had a single place for bathing because Fatty Chu and the others had snatched it. Bei Gongtang no longer had any place to bathe by the time she came out. Bei Gong, I've already prepared a bit of water for you. You can go to the toilet area and wash up a little first. It'll help you get more water if it's not enough. Sima Yu called after Bei Gongtang. Bei Gongtang saw the 2 casks of water beside Sima Yu and hurriedly said her thanks before picking it up and heading towards the toilet. She could not stand the stench coming from her body a second longer. Sima Yu never thought that Bei Gongtang would use a total of 6 full casks of water. She did not know how much discharge had actually been excreted from their bodies. Thinking of how these clean freaks had actually been covered in filth, she could not help but give a cold shudder on their behalf. By the time that everyone had cleaned themselves up, the sky was already bright. Everyone could not help but to continually sniff themselves even after they came out to see if any stench was left on their body. They did not know whether or not it was all in their head, but they all felt as if they still had the smell lingering on their bodies. Can you help me smell my body and see if any smell remains? Fatty Chu walked over and said. Sima Yu kicked him aside, saying, my nose has already gone numb from smelling you guys last night. Don't come near me today. Do you really have to be so distant? Fatty Chu cried as he stood 1 meter away from her, looking as if he had been wronged. Chapter 147. I am ignoring you, what about it? Sima Yu looked at how prissy he was acting and wanted to tease him. What else can I do? Even if I beat you, I won't be able to defeat you. Even if I quarrel with you, I wouldn't be able to out-talk you. I can't possibly bite you, can I? Fatty Chu cried. Sima Yu laughed happily when she saw the way he was acting. I never thought that the 100 revolutions pill would be this effective. I feel like my body has gotten so much lighter. It's not as heavy as before. Wei Ziqi said, of course. So much black stuff oozed out from you last night, along with who knows what. It would be weird if you didn't feel lighter, Fatty Chu said. Oh right, how many ranks did you rise? 3 ranks, 3 ranks, 3 ranks. The 3 of them replied at the same time. What, you all rose by 3 ranks? Fatty Chu called out in surprise. Why am I the only one who rose only by 2 ranks? Sob, I initially thought that rising 2 ranks was not too bad, but it seems like I'm left on the tail end. Ouyang Fei came over and patted him on the back, saying extremely solemnly, my condolences. After that, he walked past him. Sima Yu and Wei Ziqi all burst into laughter. They never knew that Ouyang Fei would have the side to him. Fatty, I feel like you have been eating too much lately. There's too much rubbish in your body, so it hindered your increase in rank. Sima Yu said so extremely earnestly. See, you ran to the toilet the most number of times yesterday and were the smelliest of all. That's why I'm saying you should diet and eat less, understand? After she finished speaking, she turned around and left as well. I feel like Sima Yu is right. Wei Ziqi patted Fatty Chu on the shoulder as he passed him. Bei Gongtang walked over with mirth in her eyes and said faintly, diet. After that, she walked off as well. Are there those who even bully others like you guys do? Fatty Chu had been collectively put down by everyone else as he chased after them filled with heartache on the road back to the classroom. Those who saw Sima Yu immediately ran over. However, seeing her ice-cold look, they stopped in their tracks and nobody was willing to step forward to strike a conversation with her, just as they were quickly reaching the classroom. There was finally a girl who was brave enough to step forward and confess to her, schoolmate Yu, this is a present that I prepared for you, please accept it. Sima Yu took the box and said coolly, thank you. That female student saw that Sima Yu did not reject her gift and was extremely excited, saying, schoolmate Yu, I like you, can I be your girlfriend? Girlfriend? Sima Yu did not think that the girl would be so open and she immediately pulled Bei Gongtang and gave her a kiss, saying, but I already have a girlfriend, if you want to take her place, you have to beat her. That female student took one glance at Bei Gongtang and saw her glare at her and began to shudder. There was nobody in school who didn't know that Bei Gongtang was a war machine. She was strong and liked to battle. There were very few who would look to be her opponent. The girl who confessed was a weak girl and was even her rival in love. She was afraid that she would be trashed so badly that she would be completely obliterated. Cough cough, since you already have a girlfriend I won't bother you anymore. That girl turned around to run away after she finished speaking. Sima Yu glanced over at the people surrounding her and entered the classroom with her hand over Bei Gongtang's shoulder. When they returned to the classroom, the gazes with which they used to look at Sima Yu and Bei Gongtang changed. It was no wonder that Bei Gongtang would always look at them coldly and was the only one who could match Sima Yu. Turns out that they were already a pair. Sitting down on their seat, Bei Gongtang slapped Sima Yu's hand away, saying, next time, you'll have to pay a fee if you want my help. Hey, what do you mean pay a fee? Why don't you just play along and become my girlfriend? Sima Yu beamed as she said. Bei Gongtang glared at Sima Yu. Had this fellow pretended so much to be a guy that her heart had turned perverted? As a result, everyone knew that Sima Yu and Bei Gongtang were a pair. Whoever wanted to be her girlfriend needed to first battle Bei Gongtang. Although this broke countless hearts, nobody else came to disturb her nor Wei Ziqi and the others. When night came, Sima Yu acted as their guardian once again as the 4 of them ate the second 100 revolutions pill. Because they pretty much finished purging the impurities from their bodies yesterday, they did not run to the toilet as much as the previous night. Of course, there was one exception. Sima Yu sat in the house, seeing Fatty Chu come out once again to take a shit. She smiled as she teased, Fatty, I told you that you always eat too much. Look, you keep running to the toilet. It proves that you still have too much rubbish in your body. Fatty Chu glared wordlessly at Sima Yu before rushing to the toilet. However, there was an upside to him shitting so many times. This night, nobody else increased in rank, but he did, on the second day. When he said that he was the only one who increased a rank, he was incomparably happy. Although it took till the next day, at the very least, the amount of talent he had was not too different from theirs. After eating the 100 revolutions pill, all the waste from their bodies had been cleared, their meridians flowed more smoothly and had broadened significantly. Their cultivating speed was quicker than in the past. Seeing their changes, Her eyes felt watery as she thought about the 100 revolutions pill that she had prepared for Sima Yuming and the others. The future days slowly crept up on her as she decided to focus on studying while she was at the academy, cultivate, and return home whenever something cropped up with the clan. She also had to fulfill the promise that she made about the giving those people spirit beasts. In the morning, she would study in the academy and return home to tame beasts at night. Then she would cultivate and settle the different issues that would arise at the clan. As a result, after around 2 more months, Sima Yu concluded her studying and requested for the academy to let her graduate. When she received her graduating certificate, she thought of what Sima Lai had originally intended for her when he first sent her to school. He did not particularly need her to have any accomplishments in the academy and merely wanted her to try her best in whatever others did. As she was packing up the things in her dorm to leave, Fatty Chu and the others came to send her off. Something felt off when they thought about how the dorm would no longer contain her presence. Sima Yu settled everything when she went back to the Sima clan, even refining pills for a few days. She cultivated for the rest of the time and finished taming the spirit beasts. She let the steward prepare to recruit alchemists and beast tamer masters so that things would continue to flow even if she was not around. The steward knew that it was unknown when Sima Yu would be back once she left, and committed everything she said to memory. A few days later, she handed an interspatial ring to the steward before packing up a few things and walking towards the direction of the Sophia Mountain range, because the imperial capital had no teleportation array that led directly to Sophia Mountain range. She decided to ride Yiguang towards the nearest city. When she arrived at the main gate, she was stunned. Under the great tree sat Fatty Chu. While Wei Ziqi leaned against the trunk, Bei Gongtang was standing in front of it while Ouyang Fei was sitting in the branches of the tree. "What are you guys doing here?" Sima Yu looked at the 4 of them in shock. Chapter 148. How is it? I told you all that she would pass by this place, Fatty Chu declared proudly. Sima Yu walked over, saying, "Shouldn't you guys be carrying out some mission for the academy now? What are you doing here?" Ouyang Fei jumped off the tree, saying, "We just requested to graduate from the academy and are no longer students." "You all graduated. We felt that we wouldn't learn too much even if we were in school now, so we decided to graduate from it," Bei Gongtang said. "As for me, I've already talked it over with the clan leader. I want to soldier through things with you," Fatty Chu said, "so I'm gonna stick with you. You definitely have to bring me along." "Stick with me?" "Yeah, stick with you," Fatty Chu said. "You know this as well. I have no plans to return after going to Sophia Mountain Range this time. I will be training in the mountains for 2 years before going out. If things don't turn out well, my life could end right there on the outside." Sima Yu shook her head, not agreeing with Fatty Chu's decision to follow her. "In any case, I've already announced it to my family and they know that I may never return. However, it's okay even if I wander around outside. It will definitely be better than remaining in this tiny place. I feel like going outside to take a look as well," Fatty Chu said. Sima Yu was speechless and looked over at Wei Ziqi. Wei Ziqi shrugged. "I paid my home a visit as well. They didn't agree to my departure in the beginning, however. My granduncle told them that the outside world was stronger than in here and that I would be able to reach greater heights if I went with you. Even if I had to pay with my life, it would be considered cheap." She never thought that he would think the same way. Sima Yu looked at Bei Gongtang and Ouyang Fei, who said straightforwardly, "I never planned to stay here for my entire life. I still have to take my revenge and have to leave sooner or later, so I might as well leave with you all. In any case, you are the ones who taught me about the value of a team." Ouyang Fei didn't need to say anything as he was originally a person from the southern lands. He had escaped to this place because of some prior unknown reason, but he was always going to return. "You've all really thought it through carefully?" Sima Yu looked at the others, especially Ziqi and Fatty. "Once we go out, it will be very hard for us to return." Thought it through. Thought it through. "Let's go." Fatty Chu turned his round body and climbed nimbly onto Yiguang's back before Sima Yu grabbed his shirt neck collar and threw him down. "Sit on your own, spirit beast. Don't flatten Yiguang." Fatty Chu knew that this meant that Sima Yu had agreed and pouted while calling out his own spirit beast to ride. Wei Ziqi and the others called out their own spirit beasts, and the 5 of them sat on their spirit beasts and charged towards the city ahead. They would take the teleportation array to Sophia Mountain Range from there 2 days later. The group of them went to the foot of Sophia Mountain Range and looked at the towering mountain. They were filled with a sense of hope. "Are you sure that this is the best place?" Fatty Chu saw the sheer cliffs and towering peaks and looked suspiciously at Ouyang Fei. Because all 5 of them were powerful, they decided to look for a place that was a little better, where the strengths of the spirit beasts would be a bit lower, a place where they could gradually increase their strength. Because Ouyang Fei had been in Sophia Mountain Range for a period of time before going to the imperial capital, he led the way. Ouyang Fei glanced at Fatty Chu, saying coolly, "Why don't you do it then?" Fatty Chu quickly waved his hands and laughed. He had never come to this place before. How could he possibly lead the way for everyone? "Ouyang, is this a place you've been to before?" Sima Yu asked. The 4 great empires lie on that side of the mountain. However, this mountain range is 1,000 miles wide. The beasts near to the center have higher ranks, and there are quite a few divine beasts. Ouyang Fei replied, "It's so dangerous." "Ouyang, how did you enter?" Fatty Chu looked at Ouyang Fei with eyes filled with worship. "Many people died in order to protect me," Ouyang Fei revealed hesitantly as he changed the topic. "Let's rest on the foot of the mountain tonight. We can check whether or not our inventory is complete before entering the mountain tomorrow, okay? Let us set up camp at the base of the mountain then," Sima Yu said. The few of them found an empty plot of land as they took out their tents and began to pitch camp. "Sigh, there are traces of people pitching camp here before," Fatty Chu shouted when he saw the traces of the tent nail marks. "The amount of treasures on this mountain would definitely be more than the ones on Pu Luo Mountain Range, so it's a given that many would want to enter the mountain in order to look for treasure. It's just that their strength is not enough, so not that many people can enter, but that doesn't mean that nobody will," Wei Ziqi explained. "If our strengths were higher, we would definitely have chosen to enter this place instead of going to the Pu Luo Mountain Range." Fatty Chu thought about it for a moment and agreed. Many people went to the Pu Luo Mountain Range, and the treasures there were relatively much less precious than the ones here. Why not come here to try their luck? Furthermore, those who are strong have to be willing to come here to cultivate, Sima Yu added on. "Fatty, once we get outside, we will definitely meet many things that are weird and out of place. If you keep making a fuss at everything, well, pretend not to know you. So embarrassing." Bei Gong Tang smiled as she said, "Bei Gong, you were cuter when you were an ice princess," Fatty Chu complained when he heard the ridicule in Bei Gong Tang's words. When they finished setting up camp, Sima Yu cooked dinner for everyone. Because the spirit pearl could not be used right now, she could only prepare some vegetables from her interspatial ring and made some vegetarian dishes since they had no meat. After they finished dinner, everyone went back to their tents to cultivate. They realized that the spiritual qi was a lot denser than in other places. If they were to cultivate here, their strengths would climb by leaps and bounds. Sima Yu sat on the bed and looked at her devil snare bracelet. She hadn't gotten a single update ever since Mo Sha took the spirit pearl and the 7-layered pagoda into it 3 months ago. There wasn't a single sign of movement, and she had no idea how things were inside. She didn't know how the spirit pearl and the 7-layered pagoda were coming along, nor how Mo Sha was doing. However, she would still take out the golden snake fruit tree every night and put it beside her hand, letting it come close to the bracelet. This was because she realized it was as if Mo Sha could absorb some of the gas given off by the golden snake fruit tree. She gave a sigh in her heart as she took out the golden snake fruit tree and placed it at her bedside. Because she could only place it inside her ring during the day, she could only take it out to absorb the air at night. As a result, its current appearance looked extremely bad. She specifically opened a hole in the top of her tent that allowed moonlight to shine in. Every night, the golden snake fruit tree would recover a little bit under the moonlight. "If this continues on, I have no choice but to return you to nature." Sima Yu looked at the golden snake fruit tree with helplessness and heartache. There were more than a few leaves that had already turned yellow. Mo Sha, how much more time do you need to complete it? As she crossed her legs and sat down on the bed and began to enter a state of cultivation. Because she had tamed many spirit beasts during these 2 months, she had reaped quite a bit of spirit power. Adding on to that the increased amount of time she had to cultivate, after a month had passed, she rose to an 8th-ranked spirit lord. Just as she was going to leave the imperial capital, she had already almost reached the borders of level 9. Chapter 149. After cultivating for a night, she awoke on the morning of the 2nd day and kept the golden snake fruit tree into the interspatial ring with a heavy heart. She kept her tent, and the others woke up as well. After washing up simply, they began to set off for the mountain. When they were on their way, they came across quite a few pill ingredients. Even if they walked past it, They did not harvest it. These were things that were sold so expensively outside, but they were completely ignored. Right now, because they were not here to shop, they walked off after heaving a great sigh. Their motive was to search for spirit beasts to train with and increase their strength. They weren't here to harvest pill ingredients. After walking for half a day, they had yet to find a single spirit beast. We haven't seen a single spirit beast even after so long. This place isn't as scary as they say. Let's Fatty Chew said roar. Fatty Chew had yet to finish speaking when the sound of a spirit beast's roar was heard. Almost immediately, an ivory-toothed pig appeared in front of everyone while groaning heavens. This is a highly ranked low-spirit beast? Even an ivory-toothed pig can grow to this rank. Fatty Chew pulled up his sleeves, preparing to engage into a great battle as he saw the ivory-toothed pig, whose rank didn't give him any face at all. It's already not bad for ivory-toothed pigs outside to grow to 5th of 6th ranked. But this ivory-toothed pig has grown to 8th ranked, how strange, Wei Ziqi remarked. The spiritual chi here is a lot denser than in other areas, so the spirit beasts here will be of a much higher level. Ouyang Fei said, this place is merely close to the outside. But it has a high concentration of spiritual energy. How dense would the concentration of spiritual energy be in the world outside? Fatty Chew cried. It's so dense that you won't even be able to imagine it. Ouyang Fei said, once you enter the outside, you will never think of coming back to this place to cultivate. So exaggerated. Fatty Chew's eyes widened in surprise. The talent of the people here are not that different from those outside. So why, when comparing the people of the same age, their strength is so much higher than the people here? The reason is because of the difference in spirit chi density, which shortens the cultivation time. Ouyang Fei said, that great. Then once we go outside, will our strength also increase really quickly? It will not only be really quick, it will be extremely quick. Ouyang Fei said, the talent that we possess is still considered high outside. If we live in that kind of environment, I believe that everyone will break through the ranks extremely quickly. The ivory-toothed pig was furious when it saw that they were not afraid of it and were even laughing and joking. It set its target to the one who was laughing the happiest and charged forward. Damn. It knows that I'm the weakest, so it decided to attack me. This grandpa didn't bare his fangs, so you take him for a sick cat? Fatty Chew gave a loud roar and raised both his fists as he charged head-on to the ivory-toothed pig. This spirit beast had a thick skin and was tough. Sima Yu was worried that he would get injured when she saw that Fatty Chew just directly charged at it, and wanted to step in and help but was pulled to a stop by Bei Gongtang. Fatty Chew's battle abilities are not like what he seems like on the surface. It will be fine. Sima Yu knew that they were the ones who were always together, so Bei Gongtang should be the one who know him best, since they were not worried. That just mean that there should really be no problem, seeing that only Fatty Chew had charged towards the ivory-toothed pig. This man and beast clashed head on. His chubby body flashed as he appeared beside the ivory-toothed pig, delivering a heavy punch at its head roar. That punch happened to land on the ivory-toothed pig's eye as it lifted its head to the sky and roared in pain. It twisted its body around and charged at Fatty Chew once again. This time, Fatty Chew did not dodge to the side but stretched forth both his hands and caught the ivory-toothed pig's head, and was quickly shoved backwards. He was shoved about 20 to 30 steps before he stopped, body heavy, not moving back anymore, with a groan. He caught the ivory-toothed pig by its ivory tooth and threw it to the side. The fat body of the ivory-toothed pig was well and truly shoved by Fatty Chew. Tsk. This fatty's strength has really grown. Sima Yu sighed when she saw that Fatty Chew actually chose to have a direct hand-on-hand combat with the ivory-toothed pig, and was not losing at all earlier on. Fatty Chew received a book on body techniques from his clan and began practicing those techniques. Wei Ziqi said, then why didn't he slim down at all? Sima Yu took a look at Fatty Chew's body. If they didn't say anything, she would really not be to see that Fatty Chew had been cultivating. Fatty Chew, who was currently battling the ivory-toothed pig, heard Sima Yu's words and almost stopped breathing and almost couldn't muster the strength to throw the ivory-toothed pig out. Cough, cough. I won't say anything anymore. Continue. Sima Yu saw that what she said was distracting him, so she coughed twice before speaking. Fatty Chew glared at Sima Yu. Seeing that the ivory-toothed pig was charging towards him, he rolled to the side to dodge the pig trotters. The ivory-toothed pig stomped its hoof as a pit appeared in the ground. Fatty Chew saw the outcome and was so glad that he had avoided it, or else he would turn into minced meat. Oh my heavens! Its attacks are actually so vicious. This grandfather must definitely get those trotters to roast and eat. After speaking, he stood up and lunged towards the ivory-toothed pig. He flew towards the side as he flipped his body and landed on the ivory-toothed pig's back. 1 punch. Dare to hit this grandfather. 2 punches. Dare to step on this grandfather. 3 punches. It'll break apart your pig head. 4 punches. It'll shatter your ivory tooth. 5 punches. Seeing Fatty Chu rain blow after blow on the ivory-toothed pig's body and hearing him say a line after each punch, the 4 of them could not help but smirk. They really felt their heart ache for his hands, who knew how much it hurt to rain punches upon that thick skin. The ivory-toothed pig was wounded and went into a rage mode, endlessly twisting his body to try and throw Fatty Chu off. Fatty Chu bent his body low and directly sat on the back of the ivory-toothed pig. No matter how it moved, he would not be thrown off. He would even occasionally throw a punch towards its head or stomach. Seeing this scene, Sima Yu muttered, "Why does this scene feel so familiar? The last time, when you fought with the acacia silk snake, didn't you take out a frying pan to viciously beat it to death?" Bei Gongtang remarked, "Damn, thinking about it, she was like this the previous time as well." It was no wonder that she felt the scene was so familiar, however. Didn't she just have to remind her about the battle between her and the acacia silk snake? Why did she have to add on the part about the frying pan? She had no idea that at that time, the impression that she left on them when she came out to save them with a frying pan was really too deep. They would occasionally think about it to reminisce, although the situation was really dangerous at that time. That frying pan was just too hilarious. Fatty Chu and the ivory-toothed pig fought for an hour plus and was finally beaten by a blow to the head. The ivory-toothed pig fell on the ground and lay there exhausted, unable to move even if it wanted to. During the entire battle, Sima Yu and the others stood at the side and watched while waiting for him to come over once he had achieved victory. Seeing the brain matter flow out, Sima Yu pursed her lips, saying, "That is something so valuable. But you actually wasted it." Fatty Chu lay on the ground and looked towards Sima Yu, saying, "Yu, I want to eat roasted pig trotters." Chapter 150. Seeing that Fatty Chu was in such pain, Sima Yu kind-hearted made a batch of roasted pig trotters. Since she was at it, she also divided that ivory-toothed pig into a few portions, planning to use it as meat dishes for them for the next few days. Just as she was cooking, Fatty Chu sat down to rest. Once she was finished, he recovered as well and came over. Wow, smells good." Fatty Chu walked over, seeing that Sima Yu had already prepared everything and was currently roasting the pig trotters. He said, "I was just saying it, but I never thought that you would actually know how to roast pig trotters. It smells so good." Sima Yu happened to be adding in the final ingredients to the pig trotter dish and coolly glanced over at him, saying, somebody was waving his fist in the air declaring that he definitely had to eat it. He even said it again after that. "Since you wanted to eat it so badly, I decided to give it to you. Haha, you're the best. Whoever marries you in the future will definitely be blessed." Fatty Chu declared as he drooled. "I have no plans to get married." Sima Yu shrugged as she said, "They'll probably be a spinster by the time I finish settling all my things." "What else do you have to do after rescuing the general and the others?" Fatty Chu stretched forth a hand to try and grab onto the pork trotters that had finished roasting, but his hand was slapped aside by Sima Yu. "That's right, Yu. Aside from saving General Sima, what else do you have to do?" Wei Ziqi also asked with curiosity. Sima Yu smiled, but she did not reply. She still had a lot of things to do. Aside from saving Sima Lai and the others, she still had to look for her birth father and settle the grievances she had from her own past life. Although she did not have full recollection of her memories, whatever she saw from her dreams showed that the Shiman clan was waiting for her to exact revenge. Aside from these things, she still had to help Mo Sha look for the other half of his soul. She had an inkling that Mo Sha's power in his previous life was not low. Interacting with him meant that she would probably have dealings with the devil world. No matter for good or bad, this really caused her some headache. She finished preparing the dishes before handing the roast pork to Fatty Chu. He ate it so happily, as if he was releasing all of the sullenness he had from fighting it just now in the afternoon. After eating lunch, everyone continued towards the mountain, Perhaps it was because their position was getting closer to the inside. They met two high-leveled low-spirit beasts in the afternoon, because the two spirit beasts that they met were not of the same level as the ivory-toothed pig that only had raw strength. It was quite difficult to defeat it. Sima Yu and Bei Gongtang defeated the first one together, while the other one was defeated by Ouyang Fei and Wei Ziqi. After cleaning up the mess, everyone set up camp near a small brook. The battles that occurred in the afternoon left everyone with some injuries, so they decided to rest early, leaving only the spirit beasts to keep watch. Sima Yu first took out the golden snake fruit before eating a pill that would heal her wounds. After a short moment, she opened her eyes and leapt off the bed. She took out her pill furnace and pill ingredients and began to refine pills. She was still responsible for the production of the pills for the Sima clan, so she would always refine a few commonly used pills during her rest times. After that, she would get Little Roar to send it out to the place agreed upon, to hand it over to the person who would come to receive the pills. At the same time, she was practicing the art of refining for the later part of the night. If she was not refining pills, she would be cultivating or sensing the space. Following this, the amount of space that she could sense was getting increasingly larger, and she had more and more understanding of it. The way that she looked at the world was becoming more and more different. Right now, space was not something that was incomprehensible, it was something like a life. There were times that it would change. Half a month after they entered a mountain, they found a natural cave. That cave had a few dark entrances. Inside, everyone cleaned it up and made more space, fixing up their own room. They currently made it into their base. In the morning they would spar in pairs, look for spirit beasts to battle, then have a variation of arrangements at night. Sima Yu planned their days full of activities. However, because the golden snake fruit tree needed moonlight, Sima Yu would often be outside at nights. Because the spiritual chi here was dense, every time they had a great battle, they would take a period of time to recover their own spiritual chi. Each time, they reaped more than a little benefit. Before even a month had passed in the mountain, Sima Yu rose to a 9th-ranked spirit lord. After a month plus, after a battle with a saint beast, she passed the ranks of spirit lord and became a 1st-ranked great spirit master. On this night, Sima Yu just happened to be comprehending the effects of becoming a great spirit master when she felt some movement in her devil snare bracelet. She quickly called Little Roar out to let him set up a boundary. Once the boundary was prepared, Mo Sha appeared in the cave. It's done? Sima Yu asked with some excitement. Thinking about it, there had been no news from Mo Sha for this half a year, and she began to worry that something might have happened during the fusion of the spirit pearl. Yet, she was also worried that Mo Sha would not be able to press on. She was also worried about whether or not her spirit pearl would be harmed. However, since he had not contacted her, she did not dare to contact his rashly. Mo Sha nodded his head as a little pagoda appeared in front of her. It appeared not too different from the 7-layered pagoda from before. 7-layered pagoda? Then what about the spirit pearl? Sima Yu asked as she looked only at the little pagoda. Test to see if you can feel your connection with him, Mo Sha said. Sima Yu picked up the little pagoda and closed her eyes to feel for it. She really did feel a connection running between this pagoda and her. She gave a thought and she, Mo Sha, and Little Roar appeared inside a different environment. Where's Little Spirit? Sima Yu kept looking around when she couldn't spot Little Spirit. I'm here. Little Spirit slowly appeared from thin air. Sima Yu stepped forward and hugged Little Spirit, taking a good look at him. She stretched forth a hand to pinch his cheeks, and her hand was slapped aside. Seeing that disagreeable appearance, it's still the Little Spirit of before. Sima Yu said as she hugged Little Spirit and gave him a kiss. Humph humph, of course it's me. Little Spirit wiped away saliva that did not exist as he looked at Sima Yu with the look of a married woman, which made Sima Yu extremely happy. Mo Sha, how are you? Sima Yu saw that Mo Sha's soul was even more faint than before and asked worriedly, still okay, nothing too major. Mo Sha said, it seems your soul is a lot fainter than before. Sima Yu said, I merely expanded a bit of my soul power. Mo Sha spoke as if he didn't care. Sima Yu knew that his condition was not great right now, but she knew that he was acting this way because he did not want her to worry. I didn't take good care of the golden snake fruit tree, Sima Yu said with a tinge of guilt. I know, Mo Sha had long seen the golden snake fruit tree that was quickly going to wither. You just have to nurture that tree for a few days and it will be fine, Little Spirit said. Furthermore, you will no longer need to take it out every night. Why? Sima Yu lowered her head as she looked at Little Spirit and asked, stupid owner, have you not noticed the changes in this place? Little Spirit said condescendingly. I only checked on how you guys were doing when I entered. It's natural that I would not notice the changes that have occurred here, Sima Yu said as they scanned her surroundings. She said, what differences are there between this place now and before? Little Spirit rolled his eyes at Sima Yu and said, tilt your head down and take a look. Sima Yu obediently tilted her head down and actually saw her own shadow. She raised her head and realized that there was actually a blue sky and clouds. There was even a bright sun.